Hello everyone, welcome to the Mind High podcast. This is Z. We recently did a new video which is up on YouTube titled The Truth Shall Set You Free. It's a kind of a new thing for us. It's poetry set to music, so check that out. Today, we are discussing politics, military budget, the central banks, conspiracy facts, comedy, and death. So let's jump right in.
Rocky Man.
Is he really?
Yeah, he just loves his one-liners that he likes to keep.
Wasn't it one of the Tonight shows where they showed Donald Trump's like conversation, like he's giving out a speech,
Yeah,
and like you go line by line, he's talking about something else, and he cuts off, he goes to something completely different.
Yeah, he's not a good speaker.
yeah. They're like, if you just read his transcript
Yeah.
of his speeches that he gives, it's just mind-boggling how low-level IQ it is. It's like the top. If a normal person reads it, it sounds like someone with dementia talking.
Yeah, and then because they did a comparison with his like conversation way before when he was younger,
Yeah,
and he sounded pretty good.
yeah. I also I forgot what video that was, but like there's also one done by what's that show with Seth Meyers?
Tonight Show?
Night Show.
Something.
Seth Meyers. What is it called?
Night stuff with Seth
Something.
Meyers.
Yeah, in his episode they hired someone who's, oops, talk about his transcript, and then it just sounded like mind-boggling that this guy's sitting in the most powerful throne in the world,
Yeah.
and he can barely connect two sentences together.
But you know what is a limit on Twitter? 300 words. I think
They just upped it
To
to 280.
280. Yeah,
They upped it to
Characters.
280.
yeah.
So before it was 200.
I think it was
240.
half that.
Yeah, it was 140 before. Now
140.
it's 280.
Yeah.
So then, if you look at Donald Trump's speech now, it fits perfectly into 140 character blocks.
I think they did it mainly for him, because he always has those ... Then he,
Well, I think they did it for themselves as a, kind of
Yeah.
got ridiculous to have only 140 characters.
yeah,
to
because
express yourself.
Right, but what I'm saying is Donald Trump, the way he talks now
yeah,
in real life,
Yeah.
it's like in blocks of 140,
Yeah,
and then
he-
he just switches to something else. And does.
yeah,
He's
because
like
he
a
needs to
Twitter
get.
guy.
He tries to get a lot of things in, so the structure of the sentences sounds like
Yeah,
is restricted. So he
Yeah.
talks like that.
he talks like a Twitter bird.
I thought someone actually like writes his speeches for him and he just goes and gives them, right?
Oh, of course.
No, but he
yeah.
goes off path a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, he goes off script all the time.
and you'll know when he goes off script because you'll start saying the random shit that he says. Fake
Yeah.
news, Rocket Man,
Right.
Little Man,
Yeah.
whatever his one-liners are.
Well, he's a very emotional guy, right? Like in the wrong way, not emotional like he has empathy for others, but
Yeah,
or maybe he does for his family, but like in the fact that anything can trigger him. Like he never forgets things. He has like a grudge with like
Yeah.
everyone, and he never forgets.
He's
And
proud.
the smallest thing just triggers him, and he just goes off on a tangent.
do you need that personality to go all the way to the top? Because all these people in Wall Street and these these big CEOs
Yeah,
need to be, I guess, dry, like cutthroat dry, where it's just pure business and no emotions. Like,
It's that, but it's also the fact that Trump itself is a brand. Trump hotels, Trump steaks, and they're supposed to mean that
Well-
they're the best. So when they get criticized, he needs to be defensive not only of himself but his brand.
but I mean, he has a shady history. He's done shady practices. So I guess he's a one-off. Even if people we can say are cruel when you get to that top level, but he's just a shady, cruel, idiot person, I guess.
yeah, and
His combined is unique.
yeah, and I mean, I think it's probably an anomaly that he got elected. It's not because of those exact traits, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not that these traits exactly make a good politician or somebody that can be successful in the system.
Right.
I think it really is just him being at the right place at the right time.
Right.
With the whole, because if he had any other decent candidate, like realistically, Clinton kind of could have beaten him, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the popular vote, could have easily gone the other way. So at the end of the day, if you look at it, if he had a decent candidate that he was going against, he could have like been blown away. Like a
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders perhaps would have just wrecked him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the matchup was just in his favor, right? So,
Yeah.
what do you guys think of the tax law that they've almost passed or are gonna pass?
Yeah, as I understand it, it's just going to help the rich. And I don't want to just say that as like a random line, but it seems like it's going to disproportionately help the rich and just give tax cuts to, like, I think it's going to even save Donald Trump money.
Yeah, it is.
It's going to save him money and people.
They upped the inheritance tax. So I think it was $5 million. So if your kids inherit $5 million, over $5 million, they have to pay some tax on it. I think it's in those high 30, 40, 50%.
There was this rich guy that went on one of the Fox shows. I think we might have talked about it in the chat.
Yeah,
where he's like, I'm rich. I'm telling you, this is going to help me.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's nothing here. And I think that universal basic income video that I was watching, the one from
in a nutshell.
Chris Gar, now it's called In Like a Nutshell. They even talk about it. They're like, when you give a poor person money, it gives you like $1 something of economic
$1.18 in return.
Yeah, $1.18 in return. If you give it to a rich person, it was like 40 cents or 39 cents. Yeah.
So what that means is like, instead of giving the break to the rich, if you give it to the poor people, they're gonna go out and spend that money. So the money that they're getting, the tax break that the poor people are getting instead of the rich, they put back in the economy, whereas the rich people only put 39 cents back.
Yeah, because I feel like it's just like a rational thing too. Like if you're rich, you're not trying to spend all your money. If I make $1 million, I'm probably gonna invest like 100,000 maybe at the most. I'm not gonna invest all of my $1 million. If I'm a poor person, I just need to buy shit.
Yeah, I was watching on YouTube like a video where they had like millionaires in the room. There was like probably 50 or 100. There was some sort of conference, and they asked him like what would you do with this tax break? Would you put it back into your company? Only a few handful raised their hand, saying if they got to increase their profits, right? So because they're a corporation, so it's not. I mean, they've tried this before, and I think it's never worked to the way that they sell it. Where rich people, if you give them the tax break, that they're gonna create more jobs. They're gonna invest that back into their community, state / country.
Yeah, I think if they had a tax cut for the middle class or even the upper middle class, that'd be nice. So upper middle class, poor people. Well, poor people really don't pay that much in taxes. But if you just do it for the rich, it doesn't make any sense. But what the rich people say is, I was just having this conversation. So basically, I think 1% of the population, or 20% of the population pays 80% of the taxes. So poor people don't really pay taxes right now anyways. So you can't really cut their taxes.
No, so I mean, there would be when they file taxes, I guess. You know, if you're in a certain poverty line, then the government owes you money. You know.
Yeah.
So
but you get tax credits and stuff. Yeah.
So then in that way you would get money back. So I mean, it would just be an offset from collecting taxes from somewhere else. You're just giving a credit to another person. So you increase the rich people's and you give credit back to the poor people, and then they use that money to invest back into the.
So the top 10% of taxpayers paid over 80% of the total amount collected on federal tax. I think this 2010. Now it's like 83% or something like that.
That's interesting.
So like that's their thing. They're like, we're the ones who fund everything.
Yeah.
But also they make all the money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a thing, right? And I mean, you like in the nutshell video that they said, like it makes sense to keep the poor people happy, because if you don't, that's when things starts turning around, revolution starts, riots start, when people are hungry and poor, and that's when. And the thing is, when people are desperate and not in a relaxed situation, that's when that's where they commit crimes. You know, like if they're hungry, they gotta rob a store to eat. You know.
Yeah, under stress.
Yeah, that's when you make the worst decisions. So if you want a good, healthy society as a whole, you need to take care of the poor people. It just benefits the rich, because you don't. I
really wonder what the cost of poverty is. Like, I don't know if there's like been like a study done that says like what is the cost of people being poor? Because obviously a certain percent of those people are gonna commit crimes.
I mean, I don't know the math, but I guess one can look it up. But like the amount of money that we spend on our military, I think could. I don't know. We have the highest military in the world, right? The budget, I think it's like tenfold.
I think it's 13. It's like the next 10 to 13 countries combined don't equal us.
Yeah. So I mean, some of that could be offset there, right?
I just feel like our military. I'm a big liberal, but I still think that our military is super. I mean, like I know it's like retarded to have that much money into it. I don't know what the right number is. I'm sure there can be cuts made, but I just feel like it's important for there to be a superpower like that in the world.
There is, but then it forces.
I don't know
them
how
to,
much of it,
but
but
it also forces them to use it too, right? So the drone strikes, all those things, like you have all the shit sitting now. You're gonna have an idiot that's gonna say, "Hey, we gotta start using some of this stuff."
yeah,
Like,
once you build it, you're like, all right, what do I do with it?
Wasn't one of your buddy of yours that was saying that you used to throw like the bullets off the plane?
Yeah.
Because they had so much, right?
So just to go back, I had a buddy who was in the military. He was in the I don't
Coast Guard or
No,
he's a Marine, right?
but he was on a boat, so he was on a ship,
Yeah.
and he was saying that there was a certain amount of supplies that they would just dump into the ocean, and they needed that. Basically, they were buying it, but they can't tell the people that are, they're giving them the money that we don't need it anymore, because they want the money to keep flowing.
Because each, I guess, whatever base that he was at has a budget that they get from the government, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not using your supplies, then you don't get that money.
Yeah,
So-
you might not get it next year or so on.
Yeah. So then they rather dump stuff and get money. Because if your inventory is there, then what's the point of the government giving you money? They would spend it somewhere else. So I guess their way around it was, hey, we're not using all this crazy amount of bullets or whatever. It was bullets that they were throwing off or something, right?
Well, there's also one more interesting thing that in the defense budget, there's also like a welfare state. So military people, for example, who are getting disability and they just get paid every month, just
Yeah.
like poor people do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they don't deserve it or anything, but it is a welfare state, right?
Yeah, that they get that.
Yeah,
too.
so they get that money no matter what after they're after they do their
service,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that's also a welfare state, and a lot of part of California we were talking about, like basically Pendleton and by San Diego is one of the largest military bases, right? So around that area, all those guys, after they get out, they all get checks basically from the government. They say that their mind is messed up because of what they saw, and it might be true too. And so it's not just physical, it's also mental. And they get paid like up to let's say $2-3 grand a month.
Right.
But that doesn't go under welfare. It goes under defense.
Defense, right.
So if they ever cut welfare, those people still get
Their money.
their
So
money.
they're still taken care of.
Yeah, no one fucks with that budget.
Yeah, I mean, we love our military here. But I think maybe a little too much. Maybe even if we cut it in half and utilize it somewhere else, we cut PBS funding where they make, I think it was like a 0.0000% of a freaking whole budget, and they cut that just to show, they're cutting things, right? But where art and education is, that's where we're slashing things. I think you can take some of that from the military budget and put it back into that, because you need...
so the U.S. spends more on defense than the next 7 countries combined.
Yeah, that's a lot.
China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, France, UK, India, and Germany.
Yeah, I mean, do you really need all that then, right? So,
But I feel like a lot of countries don't have militaries because the U.S. has it.
yeah,
Like Costa Rica, for example,
that's true.
I think I was talking to you guys about this. It's rated as the #1 place to live in the world. It's like it's very westernized, and it's just like they're really, really carefree. But they also know if anybody fucks with them, the U.S. will come to their aid.
Right.
Canada's the same way. If anybody fucks with Canada, the reason they don't need like a military is because they have the U.S. So our
Your
military
neighbor.
is also other people's military.
Yeah, and in a sense where Trump, I think I do like what he says, where they should start paying us, for providing, because if we're spending all this money, we need to be
that's
reimbursed.
also very true.
We're like a mob leader or something. Like
We are the mob leader for
but,
sure.
But then it becomes like whatever the U.S. wants, right? Because you can't.
Yeah, and we're also like assholes too. But I've got this one friend who always says, "Dude, I don't care how much you want to tax me, but just spend on the military." Because his logic is there's nothing else that's more important than you being able to go outside, drive down the street, and not have to worry about anything.
Right.
Like we take it for granted. Like if you were, you know what I mean? If you were like ranking how important things are,
Yeah, it's the military.
military is so
Security.
much more important than anything else.
But
So
still, you're like 7. You're spending what 7 times the budget of the 7 next people or whatever it
Yeah.
was, adding it all up to sum of.
If you give it,
$610 billion to the other 7 countries, $601 billion.
Could you still not be worried stepping outside if you did it for like even 75% of that amount?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, there's like a lot of waste in here, but
I mean, so all the stuff that they're buying, some of that stuff, we're just keep piling and adding on into our inventory, right? So think we have enough.
And then and now we're not. Now we're getting like, and then now we get new shit and we pass it on to like other countries, our old shit, and then we're gonna pass it down to our local governments, or sorry, not governments. Yeah, local governments and local police and stuff.
Yeah.
So we just like militarize the world by just pumping more and more stuff in there.
And that's part of the whole police issue that we have, where they're killing people on the spots because they're given all this military weapon where they feel like they're military. In their minds they are.
Yeah, they are kind of like military.
There's a cool little website here, nationalpriorities.org/cost of, and the cost of war in Afghanistan. It just like you can see the amount
numbers
being spent. About every hour. Every hour, taxpayers in the United States are paying $4 million for the cost of war in Afghanistan.
Every year?
Every hour.
Holy
$4
crap.
million. Cost of war in Iraq. Every hour, taxpayers in the United States are paying $117,000.35. Wow. So it's less than how much you're spending an hour in Afghanistan, something that we started way long ago, right? $175,000 an hour and for cost of war in Iraq, $4 million an hour for the cost of war in Afghanistan. Total cost of war since 2001, $1,803,654,000,000.
Jesus.
The whole Afghanistan thing is so like fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have read articles about the drug trade that was going on in Afghanistan, right?
And the opioid
the whole thing.
breakout in the United States.
And then I think it was 2000, just before 9/11, when Afghanistan made it illegal to grow that stuff.
Right.
The Taliban did. They said it was against religion. And then the U.S. invades, right? And then in 2001, I think Afghanistan had like almost zero production. And then it shoots up to the number one, like in production of the opioids. Yeah, number one in the world. And they had and then it was like, who's guarding all this? Because it was like black market stuff.
Yeah.
So there's so much evidence that it's all CIA.
Damn.
That's doing the whole thing. And then we all believe that the war started in 2001, 9/11. That's when Afghanistan came into the picture. But the U.S. and of course Russia were all involved there throughout the 70s, 80s, and then leading up to the whole thing.
During the Cold War, when
So Russia invaded Afghanistan, or they tried to take over.
Yeah.
And the U.S. helped Afghanistan. I said, we helped them and we armed them, and then we got into a war with them later.
Because we left them or something, where we armed Osama bin Laden. We gave him the weapons and everything.
Yeah. What is it? Your enemy's enemy is your friend.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Your enemy's enemy is your friend.
Yeah. It keeps going.
They say keep your
friends closer and your enemies even closer or something.
Yeah, that's another one.
That's from Spider-Man. I got that from.
Even closer.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, that's the one. That's what it is.
Yeah. But what's really cool is that so you've got Afghanistan, right? You've got Iran. You've got North Korea. Was that the original axis of evil? Does anyone remember? It was Iran.
Well, you have the internet. Hold on.
Was it Iran, Iraq, and North Korea? I think. The three?
Those are the axes of evil. What is this?
WCW? So George Bush had a speech where he talked, and he says Iran, Iraq, and North Korea.
So
he actually said that?
Yeah, he did. You don't remember that speech? No. It was like a famous one. So those three countries, along with Sudan, I think around 2001 were the only countries that did not have a centralized bank, meaning they were not connected to the world currency, like the petrodollar, right?
Yeah.
And now you've only got Iran and I think North Korea, maybe one more country left that's not under a centralized banking system.
Damn, Iran's not any.
Iran is not at the moment.
That's crazy.
So
how the hell do they do things?
They use their own currency. They do a lot of trade with Russia, so they don't need the dollar as much.
Shit.
I wonder if you can look up.
These are the countries that are not part of the Rothschild-owned central bank.
Yeah.
Afghanistan, Iraq, Sudan, Libya, Cuba, North Korea, and like Iran.
All right,
that was in 2000.
That was in 2000. So look at the list. Now you've got Afghanistan is part of it. Iraq is now part of it. They both got central banks now.
Okay, so 4 in the year. Okay, in the year 2000 it was 8. I think it changed. I'm trying to figure.
Yeah.
So in 2003 it was Sudan, Libya, Cuba, North Korea, Iran.
Yeah.
Syria, that was in 2003, and then 2017. Or you want to go? Go ahead.
No, I was saying, and then the attacks of September 11th were an inside job, supposedly according to this website, to invade Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah.
So there's some conspiracy theory stuff,
of course,
but it makes sense.
Right, but then 2017,
2011.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was 2011. Now 2017, it's only 4 of them: Cuba, North Korea, Iran, and Syria. The 2 of those kind of make sense. North Korea and Syria kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
'cause,
Syria's destroyed right now.
I mean,
right?
it's not even like a functional state. How is it going to have a bank? And North Korea is literally an isolationist type state.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what your source is. Mine is saying that there's only 3 countries
It's
left.
supposed to be 3 now.
Yeah, Cuba,
Right now.
North Korea, and Iran.
Yes.
So
Supposed to be those 3 now.
So I'm guessing Cuba will
Syria
be,
went in. Then you're saying during this war they became part of the international bank?
Yes.
Wow, that is fucking interesting.
So if you go to the 2001 list, which you just said, and you just go through the country, that's like they're all falling like dominoes.
Yeah,
That is
Libya.
crazy.
Libya
Yeah.
fell
Why don't you
since
share these kind of articles, bro?
since
Did I not
2003.
share those?
No, man, you mentioned it once.
Since 2003, the countries that fell off are Sudan, Libya, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Sudan
And now
Libya.
there's 3 left. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty fucking
I
interesting.
mean, we just had a war in Libya too, right?
And now we're looking at North Korea and
not
Iran.
a war, but they have a what's the thing called?
Mi-
A
Well, it was-
revolution going on where
Yeah,
they're
yeah. I feel like they were. I mean, of course, there's all conspiracy stuff, but there could be a lot of covert elements in there, right? To start a revolution, it's nothing new.
All you
Uh,
need is money, and
it's-
Rothschild have,
It's happened a lot in
Unlimited.
the past. Yeah,
or whoever these people are.
well, they're a big part of it. If you look into the links with Rothschild and World War I and II. Okay, so here's
so
the thing.
this one family owns a whole bank, or is it
Not entirely, but they own like a majority of it. They started the whole central banking system back in
Right.
the World War. It's
Damn.
either 1 or 2.
they have power over governments and shit too? Like,
They do. Like, think about it. The U.S. Why does the U.S. have to use a federal bank? Why do they have to use a central Federal Reserve Bank, which is not part of the government? A lot of people
it's
don't know.
quasi
Yeah.
private.
It's
That's
a-
what they call it.
Yeah. So that's another way of saying it's a private entity, basically, right? So it's not part of the U.S. government, but it prints all the money for us. So that means any money we get from them, we pay. The government pays interest on it.
yeah,
So here's a crazy thing. During World War I or II, probably II, I think. So the Rothschild family is supposedly Jewish, right? But they funded both sides of the war.
right.
So they were funding the killing of all those millions of Jews and also the protection sort of it, if you
This
think
is
about
a
it that way.
conspiracy theory.
No,
or
this is true facts.
there's
that's when they
evidence
made-
showing
So,
this.
so
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
guys in from the Rothschild, if I'm right, is in Boardwalk Empire. They
Oh,
talk
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah,
the
yeah.
Rothschilds. So
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
I mean, even in that show, they portray him as a thug,
Yeah,
but they had
Yeah.
real money.
damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember Arnold?
Yeah,
So yeah, that was the guy that started it, I think.
that's nuts, man. Imagining having all that money and all that power and influence.
Too much money. Like, it
Just
gets to that
insane.
point
Bored.
where you're like, what do you need all this much money for?
Start
But
wars and shit.
it's...
You
but
control the world. All the money out there, if you control most of it,
you
then
control
you
the
control
money.
the
you
world. It's like
yeah,
King of the Hill.
Yeah.
And the reason you would want to do wars is because you're trying to get some step up and claiming some sort of power. Because by collapsing some sort of country or something, someone's gonna come in and and plug in their power in that region
Yeah.
for whatever resources that you're seeking. So
It seems...
it's all power hungry shit.
It is. And if you just go beyond that, how are they getting that power? Simply by setting up a bank there.
Yeah.
They set up the banks. They give the countries. Okay, so they finance weaponry. They finance all the weapons in the war, and then that country is destroyed. Then they give out loans to rebuild the country.
Yeah,
It's
I've
like a
heard that.
double-sided
What's that book that
win-win.
our friend shared with us? He was a CIA agent that did that for a living, and then when he retired, he wanted to get his story out of what they were making him do. I forgot the name of the book.
I know what you're talking about.
Damn it! It's like Inside
Inside
Yeah.
War or something.
But yeah, this guy, he in the 70s would go and he would represent the government, and he would try to get like Panama, like all these like third world countries to take loan from the government from United States, and then the United States will give them billions of dollars to build, provide electricity to their country.
Mm-hmm.
So the project might cost $10 billion or $1 trillion or whatever, insane amount of money. Then in return, they would give them the money, take their money, hire their own people, for construction and building that city up. And then they know that they can't pay them back, and sooner or later they will start defaulting on their loans. And then when it comes time for voting in the UN or proxy wars within the region, they would get their backing. Say like, you owe us money if you can't pay
It's
us.
called inside job. No.
That they have to take the U.S. side. So he talks about the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
How he was part of that dealing, trying to get them to sign, because they were trying to get control of the Panama Canal. Whoever controls the trade that takes place, and there's a lot of money involved.
Yeah.
And for a U.S. power like us, you would want to be able to control that, I guess, because you can keep your eye on your enemies closer or something.
Right.
But yeah, it was quite interesting to read that, and hopefully the name of the book comes in my head. It was a pretty good read.
I thought it was Inside Job, or there's some. I know what book you're talking about.
I still have it
it's
at home,
killing
I
me.
think. I gotta look it up.
One of the things that I've been talking to people about lately is how so many people believe in institutions.
Yeah.
Like, how we're talking about all this stuff. Like, okay, let's say 30% of this is a conspiracy theory, right?
Right.
A lot of it is just proven fact.
Right.
You know what I mean? The stuff he's saying, I mean, I know that a lot of it sounds a little crazy. Once you actually dig deep into it, a lot of this is true, right? But if you talk to certain people about it, it's like they have blinders. They're like,
You
Because
can't
it
believe
sounds
it.
so crazy. It's so outside the realm of what you think is possible.
But it's so logical at the same time. If you control the world, then you have nothing to fear. That's the like the top level.
And if you want
go.
money, this is a great way to do it. And you could even rationalize it in your own head. You could say, hey, I'm going to be destroying these countries, but we're going to rebuild them and all this stuff. And you could, even a bad guy can convince himself that he's a good guy.
Because you're taking down a wrong person.
Yeah, because there's probably a dictator in there.
Dictators. So there's it's like a win-win in your head, right? You take
make
him down.
money and
Is it basically just like how I'm a restaurateur, so I want to open more restaurants, right? For them, their locations are countries.
yeah, I mean,
I'm going to open a location here in Libya. Now you have your federal bank you get all the interest.
But the only difference is they're dealing with people's lives. So they're taking like a cost analysis of how many people are going to die, and that still justifies of them doing what they're going to do.
Lack of empathy.
Like think about it. The way you were telling me about how your corporation is like set up, right? You're working in the corporate structure, so you get to. You said people come in, right? Your CEOs and such, and they just see the numbers.
Yeah.
And they're
It's the
so
top line.
disconnected from the people. It's the same way with the people at the top.
Yeah.
They're not actually sitting next to you and me. They're not sitting with the people. They're just
Right.
seeing numbers and strategies and money and banks.
So it becomes analytic, right? Analytics, where you're looking at you have these crazy spreadsheets that will show you, X amount of people are going to die, but the return cost, the ROI of that, in your mind, you can justify it saying that people will probably live better lives by us investing in their infrastructure, giving them electricity. There's 1,000, 100,000. There's a line that they're gonna draw.
Yeah,
And
or maybe that cell is not even there. How many people are gonna die? That's not even a fact. That's not even relevant to what they're trying to do.
I think they would factor in, because I've seen some crazy spreadsheets where insane amount of things are factored in, making a decision. Some things, if you isolate them on their own, you will say no, we shouldn't do this because we don't want to fire 10 people. We know we're gonna destroy their lives. But the ROI, like seeing how the company can potentially grow from this, and by growing they can hire. We're gonna lose 5. We're gonna make 5 people's life miserable now, but we can in return maybe hire 20 people in the future. And then they can prosper. So it's just these weird. You would justify as human beings, we find reasons to do things, right? Sometimes they might not seem. They might be black. They're not too black and white, so we start doing things in our own cognitive bias to kind of justify them. And these spreadsheets definitely have, the ones I've seen, help you make decisions easier. That's what they're there for. They're there to take away emotion, feelings, and what's rationally. Like if a doctor said you're gonna die 98%, let's do that. But then you got to cut off your leg,
Yeah.
But if you don't cut off your leg, this thing can possibly spread, and you have a 60% chance of dying.
Yeah.
So like, which one would you do?
Right. You have to go with whatever's a better
the higher.
option.
So they do things, and then they find some sort of weird rationales to.
Right. And I guess the scary thing is that this almost what you're talking about is it's a corporate structure, but I feel like the government has become a corporation now.
Yeah,
because
it's not
there's
for
no,
the people. It's for these gigantic.
There's no government. It's a corporate owned country. I mean, there's no like doubt about it either. Yeah. And even even my friends who are more about like institutions.
Yeah.
For example, I told you that. Here, I'll give you an example. Even the studies that are funded right now that we read as science like papers or like earnest efforts of science to increase human knowledge are actually funded by corporations.
Right.
You know how they say that cocoa is great for you and everyone's like, all right, you don't eat chocolate but eat dark chocolate.
Yeah.
That study was funded by Mars.
Yeah. It's just like,
and you go more into it, there's always
these studies that come out. Oh, this coconut water is good for you, and all of a sudden the coconut water sales are up.
Yeah.
It gets. So
I mean, we live in a corporatized country. It's really all about the corporate, which is also not a bad thing, by the way, because corporations they like stability.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about corporations is they're like, all right, we don't want war and shit.
Yeah, because they want to keep doing what they're doing, but
they want money.
But the problem that happens is what happened with the housing market, right? They keep putting bandages on a pipe that's gonna burst sooner or later. So they do these. They will sometimes, the government will make right decisions for the people, and those are just small bandages that we put back on. And now it's a next generation problem. It's 10 years. Oh, we'll figure out this problem 10 years from now. We just need to fix and keep the government functioning. We need our banks to remain open, our business to keep running. But that bubble is gonna burst. It did, in the housing market, and I think the bank did too, and we just bailed them out, and they're gonna pop again, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't really fix the problem.
That's because the government is the corporation. The corporation is the government. Like, look at the thing that's going on with net neutrality right now, right? So the guy Ajit Pai, he was part of Verizon. Like, he was a higher up.
He was their lawyer.
So he was a lawyer of Verizon. So you could say he was part of that corporate structure.
Right.
And now he's part of a government structure. And it's like the lines are so blurred.
Right.
And
then guess who put him there? Trump.
Yeah. And when that thing gets passed, right, net neutrality gets passed, and if people are getting mad, it'll be like, oh, the government set it up. That's the rule. The government did it. But it's the corporation.
What's extremely fucked up is I didn't know. I thought like the Senate will be voting on it, right? So I'm like, there's some chance that they're gonna back down from the shit. But what I realized is there's 5 people from the FCC board that are voting on it.
Yeah,
and Trump appointed whatever the guy name is, Pai, Ajit Pai. So obviously he's from a corporate world. He's there. He's brought in for that particular reason to get this shit passed.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 Democrats that are gonna vote no. So they already have 3 votes there. Yeah. So no matter how many people, like 20 million people, did a petition, calls and whatnot, and he's saying that's all spam.
Yeah, he just disregarded it.
Yeah, he's disregarding it. So there are people voicing that they don't want this shit, but one person gets to decide.
Yeah, that's insane.
That I don't give a fuck what. I don't know if you saw that Vice News video that I shared with this interview. It's like 5 minutes, and what he's saying is that just because they're, and part of it I see what he's saying, but not for this particular situation. What he's saying is that even the majority could be in favor for whatever, but doesn't mean that they're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They could be fair. We could have a majority of people in the United States that say global warming is a hoax, right? But that doesn't make it right, because sometimes you do need, in those situations, one person to make the right decision, to save us all. So he feels like in his fucked up mind that he's doing that.
Just talking about financial institutions, I thought this was really important. I didn't want to speak about it until I did a little bit more research, because it's really hard to explain. But have you guys ever heard of blockchain technology?
Nope.
So, okay, I'll just read the headline just to... So blockchain is going to decentralize the federal system. We're not going to need banks anymore. You might have heard about it. So the blockchain.
Sorry, who's starting this blockchain? The government or like some sort of corporation?
I think it's an initiative taken up by a lot of people. It's kind of like Bitcoin, but for the financial system. So this headline, it's really not easy to explain how it's going to work, but I'm going to try anyways. The blockchain will do to the financial system what the internet did to media.
Interesting.
So blockchain, I've been reading about it a lot. I've never been able to
so this is all
speak
like
about it.
Cryptocurrency stuff?
It's really hard. So it's kind of like cryptocurrency. So like, like right now, if I give you $100 on PayPal, right?
Right.
So it's really going through PayPal's what it is. It's not like $100 goes on a plane. and gets
all-
sent to PayPal. It's all
digital.
it's just a journal, right? What do you
Yeah.
call it? You're in
Yeah,
finance.
journal entry.
Yeah, so it's just a journal entry, but they control it. You don't have the entire journal on you, right?
Yeah.
So every bank is basically has its journal.
Ledger.
But
Yeah.
with blockchain, that ledger in a weird way is open to everybody.
Interesting. Oh, so everyone.
Not everybody can see everything.
Yeah, but everyone.
But I
is-
can send you money. and-
Everyone's transactions, all the debit and credits are
Yeah.
getting booked in this
Yeah,
one big ledger.
one big ledger.
rather than each bank having
Yes.
their own.
Exactly.
Okay.
So something just like that, and I can send you. And this is also good and bad, but I can send you money without having to go through a bank.
Interesting, because it's
You're
all,
on the blockchain. I'm on the blockchain.
so it's just one ledger. So you start off it's just one central bank then, right?
It's decentralized though, because anybody, basically, here I'm trying to explain this. So it's just like how if I give you $100 cash,
Yeah.
there's no money or there's like nothing earned
So-
on it. I just gave you $100 cash.
Right.
They're bringing that to the online world.
Interesting.
Blockchain technology is supposed to change the world.
Yeah.
Actually, it's
Because
really,
right now,
really big.
right now it would have to go through my bank to your bank.
Yes.
And if we have two separate banks,
And they
that-
can block you too. They can say this is not right for this or that.
yeah,
You know.
or we don't accept this.
Yeah, we don't accept it.
This bank transaction, whatever the reason, maybe.
And then they'll also have like smart contracts too. So through blockchain, like if I was doing a business contract, I could have certain restrictions. It's really hard to explain how it's gonna work exactly, but every big financial player is gonna be affected.
Yeah.
So all the value that a bank brings you right now
will be collapsing.
is gonna collapse actually.
Yeah.
So where is the money being held then? I still
was-
don't
it was
It's
a
a
understand.
decent.
It'll just
So
be
to
all
explain the
digital.
technology is really, really actually hard because I know real people that like I've listened to NPR and they've tried to like explain it, and they didn't really do a good job in my opinion either. So it's not easy to explain the technology, but think of it as Bitcoin. Like when you create a Bitcoin, you use real energy.
Yeah.
You have to mine it. The blockchain is going to use that kind of technology as well.
Did you hear about the Bitcoin jumping up like crazy? It went
Yeah,
from, like,
12,000.
10
But that's like a real bubble. They say that's like an actual bubble.
But I mean, you can capitalize on it if you're a short-term day trader, right? So if you bought it at 10K and you sold it at 16, like in a day, it jumped to 16.
This happened recently?
Yeah.
Oh.
Then it went back down because some news came out. There's a lot of people that are not gonna Steam deactivated Bitcoin because they're saying it's so volatile that
Yeah.
one day it's 10K, I think it goes to 16. So once they're accepting those currencies, they're losing. Either sometimes they might lose money, sometimes they might gain money
Yeah.
based on how. I mean, all currencies go up and down, but this is going like in
That's
thousands. You know.
So how many places can we use Bitcoins at right now? Do we know? Like, obviously I can't go to Best Buy and use Bitcoin there,
It's
but
becoming
A lot of
pretty-
websites you can use it, and the only thing is that those websites are kind of playing games. They're not exactly accepting the Bitcoin. I think that guy that was on the Joe Rogan podcast was explaining it. They like take your Bitcoin, then they convert it into cash. They actually sell it. Like it's not easy to liquidize Bitcoin, as I understand. You're just gonna sell to somebody and then take
Yeah.
their cash. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
give it away and you get cash.
so they're not really using Bitcoin for what it's made, but they're actually just converting it to dollars.
Yeah, Bitcoin. All the smart financial people, and they're just saying it's a big bubble, and it makes perfect sense to me too. Like everybody's like, "Oh shit, it's going up. I'm gonna buy more. Oh shit, it's going up. I'm gonna keep buying more."
Yeah,
And
you gotta be
eventually,
careful.
it's like housing. You just keep doing it. You keep doing it,
I
and
mean,
bam.
you just need to make one right decision, right? So if you had 100K and you bought that at
Dude,
10,
me and Fahad almost bought it at like $1.50.
shit. So
We're
what
talking about doing it, but then we just got lazy about it.
if you would even put $10 in there right now?
Yeah, it would be.
Like the dollar would be the 10K, right? So
Yeah.
you'd be looking at
Yeah.
over 70.
So I still remember when I was working at the Federal Reserve.
Damn, that's sad.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So this
Like $5 could have got you like over 50K.
Yeah, but even before that, I knew it was $1.50. When I was working at the Fed, this girl
Yeah.
was from MIT, and at MIT it was really, really big, and it was like everyone was trying to do it, and I was like, what is this stupid shit that's happening? But she told me when it was like 75 cents or something.
Shit.
So I had the information, I just never acted on it.
So imagine if you bought it at 75 cents, like $1,000 that you put in and you forgot.
Yeah, I just try not to think about it too
Okay,
much.
so then so
Please.
let's say you did do that, and now and it's turned into like 100,000 or whatever. So then how do you use that 100,000? Like, if it's
you would
not
have to
being
sell
used
to somebody
everywhere.
else that's trying to buy it on the up.
Yeah.
You can't really. It's not like a bank will take it and give you cash for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, right.
But I guess that's all commodities.
Holy
Whoa.
crap.
Oh my God, we just got the entrance of food.
Put it on there.
Yeah, that's fine. We just got some homemade fries.
Damn, that looks good.
Yeah, a little too good, man.
I actually tagged Peter
you
Barbecue
balled
this
out.
time
Nice.
on my Instagram. I was like, wait a minute, we're at the restaurant.
What was I gonna say was that looks good. But anyway,
What happened there?
We'll take
Yeah.
it.
So anyway, I've been when we were talking earlier and calling it conspiracy theories, we should say conspiracy facts for things that have been proven now. And there's I want to go back to I want to go back to a few more things that I recently learned, and they're pretty mind blowing.
so you're taking So are you gonna claim this as facts?
Yeah, these are conspiracy facts,
Okay,
meaning that they were known as conspiracy theories.
but now
But
they're proven to be
today-
true.
Yeah, it's been proven to be true. So another one back in so we've had two presidents assassinated, JFK and Abraham Lincoln. And here's an interesting thing: during the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln and the United States was running out of money, and they were like completely broken. They needed it,
Right.
and you had the central bank wanted to give them money, but they were charging a very high interest. So Lincoln decided that he was not going to go through the central bank, and he was going to print his own money, American dollars.
Yeah.
Just the government will do it. He was assassinated, right? And a similar thing happened with JFK. He was also another one, and you can look that up right now. JFK was also going off using loans from a central government,
Right.
central bank,
Right.
and it's there are some patterns. You can say like it could be a one-off, but two people that were assassinated and both did kind of the same thing,
Yeah.
going off a central dollar. I think that starts to raise eyebrows.
Questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Just by saying that, is it a coincidence or did that really happen? Right.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see that being played out that people wouldn't want that shit,
Right.
especially the people that are in power.
Yeah.
Because there were speeches, remember, like Joe Rogan always brings it up time to time, where JFK is talking. He's talking about speaking the truth and being honest, or how that's important, and how the government should be transparent. And like right shortly before he died, because Joe Rogan puts it in a cool way. It's like there's something that he knew, man. Like if you hear that speech, I don't know what that speech is called, but people can probably Google it.
I think you might be talking about the I think the FDR one or the Teddy Roosevelt one, where he talks about the military industrial.
No, this
complex.
is JFK.
No, that
This
that
one's
too,
JFK.
but JFK did similar stuff too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where he's
Yeah.
talking about, and he sounds like he's scared. Like he's saying, you shouldn't trust the government. We shouldn't rely on everything. I'm just paraphrasing it, but
Yeah.
it was.
I wonder if he went off script and said things like that.
Yeah, but it feels like he's trying to get like some sort of message out to the world, like
Yeah.
and then shortly after he dies. So it's
Yep.
like,
It's
what
strange.
did he know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
And if you read so the newly released JFK Files, I know there's still parts of it that aren't completely revealed.
man, I was gonna say Trump was gonna release something, right? I don't know if that.
He did release.
Yeah, he did already.
He did release
Yeah,
it,
but nothing came out of it because
no, that some stuff did come
Yeah,
out of
some
it, but
stuff did come out of it.
Because
but
no
you
one-
have to really look into it. Like there's this one thing which is really interesting is that they had the who was the vice president who became president? Lyndon, I think.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Lyndon B. Johnson. All right, so him, one of the few things that he's on record as saying is that right after the assassination, he's like, we have to make sure people understand the narrative and don't make up conspiracy theories. That's on record, him saying it.
Oh shit!
Like we need to make sure we get almost like he's saying, we have to get our story right because we don't want conspiracy theories taking over the narrative.
So
You
what
know?
did they find? Do you know anything interesting?
Um,
Because I remember I was waiting for the idea to come, and I didn't see any articles.
well,
that,
you kind of have to read between the lines. So, from what I've heard, you can kind of get a very clear connection that it wasn't only one lone wolf, which was the narrative, that it wasn't one guy who did it, but he was actually involved with other people.
Oh,
So,
they did mention that. In the,
yeah.
Interesting.
There was I don't know if this was related to it, because I remember reading recently that the CIA was still looking for Hitler.
Yeah, in the
as-
50s.
In the 50s and 60s.
They never found his body, right?
I don't know.
Because I thought he suicided.
Yeah, I think he killed
Um,
himself. That if you watch that one movie where they show his last days, because he knew that they were gonna come for him, so he was like, "Fuck this."
Yeah, but
But
according
did they ever find his body though?
I don't think so. But according to some CIA files, let's look this up. Look up the
Yeah, I'm looking.
what have we learned from some of the newly released CIA files, because I remember reading that they were still looking for Hitler in the 50s and 60s, meaning that the CIA believed he was not actually dead.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what would that have to do with JFK?
No, I'm just saying it's one of the things.
Oh, that was in the
Yeah.
one of the files that they
Yeah.
released.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It was cool that he kind of did that, right? That's one thing that
Yeah.
he did.
Right.
There's some ad playing on your laptop. You want to mute it?
Mine?
Yeah.
But yeah, Roosevelt was the same way. Our founding fathers, they actually warned against having a central bank, actually. Like, that was one of our main priorities, not to be under a central bank.
Because then you give your power away to them, right? So then what was the recommendation?
Just private banks. Or banks controlled under the government. You know, you can have various banks, but not having a centralized system.
Don't we have private banks, but they're part of a central bank?
Yes.
So just take the central part away and then keep them
They
private.
say that his body was burned, by the way. The people that killed him, they said that they wrapped the body in like a blanket, put it outside, buried it, and then just lit the body on fire.
That's after he suicided, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think they take pictures of that or something? It's kind of the same thing with Osama bin Laden, the way they say they caught him, but there's no footage of him.
There is like the footage of him coming out of the cave. I mean, that he was hiding like in a little bunker hole that was covered with like a cardboard box or something. He was in there with the suitcase of a couple $100,000 in cash.
Yeah. You guys watching Mr. Robot?
No, man.
It'll make you
Is it good?
question everything.
So I'm guessing the season's good.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. What I was gonna say was, I don't know. I've just been so busy. I have to watch that. I have to watch The Punisher.
I haven't seen that. What is Punisher? Is that the Daredevil?
Yeah, the
Daredevil
character.
guy.
So he has his own series.
Oh.
Got good reviews.
Yeah, it's connected to the.
So what's going on with Daredevil? That's like one of the best shows I've seen. Still waiting for the second season.
I think it comes on
Third.
January, doesn't it?
I think the story 2 seasons out, right?
Yeah, I think the next season it's gonna be like I think around April or January it comes out.
Yeah, that show and Black Mirror. Am I the only one who watches it? You watch it?
No, I watched Black Mirror.
Man, the next season's almost here.
I had a really interesting conversation about that show. I was telling my friends about the show, and one of my friends knew about it, and the other didn't. He was like, "Yeah, man, I was just..." And this is a pretty... this is a friend who's been through a lot, too, like, mentally. He was like, "Dude, that show, it just fucks with you, man. Once you watch it," he's like... Because I know you like it, and I like it, but... He was just saying mentally, man, that show just fucks with you.
Yeah.
After you watch it, and then my other friend was like, "Should I watch it?" He's like, "Don't do it. It's just gonna fuck with your mind." You know?
Oh man, but that's what I love about it, man.
And these guys are
It's
like Marines who were talking about that. They've seen their share of fucked up shit, and he was like,
Yeah.
"Dude, if you watch this show, it's one of those ones that just fucks with your mind, and you're like, holy shit."
it really
It
does
does.
because there's no happy ending.
Because I stopped watching it because one episode was like
That one, right,
Yeah.
where he goes and plays
Ooh.
that game where he thinks he's actually dying. It's only 5 seconds, but he lived it for like
Yeah.
a day or two, and it's like
a few years or something like
Fuck,
that.
dude, I love it. Just
I
you
enjoy
talking
too.
about it.
I enjoy it
I'm gonna
too.
watch it again.
But I just don't think that everyone can handle that. So that's how like powerful it is.
So it's
Yeah.
like a mushroom.
Yeah, it is. It's very powerful.
It's like this
I
bad
remember,
trip.
I remember watching it and being kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that show
You
will
know?
make you uncomfortable.
And it was like, damn, I want to keep watching. I love what the ideas that they're pushing forward.
Yeah.
But there are parts that are kind of
Ooh.
cringeworthy and just makes you so uncomfortable.
Oh man, you haven't seen anything.
My friend
man.
said
You
the
gotta watch
same
the
exact
rest
thing,
of
dude.
Yeah.
No, my friend said the same exact thing. He's like, "Dude, great show, great writing, but I can't watch it. It
Yeah.
fucks with me too much."
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, I've been meaning to go back to it, but I think that's part of the reason I was like, well, after that shit that ended, like, you're just waiting for, like, how's this gonna end? Like,
Yeah.
because it seems so bad and, like, terrible, like, you know.
Yeah.
And-
You've seen White Christmas, right?
Yeah, like, that one was good. But the one that I watched was where he goes into a virtual reality. He was
Yeah.
playing a game.
Oh.
And it
Well,
just...
I can recommend some that aren't that crazy. Like there's one about Afterlife, which is
Excuse me.
brilliant. You've seen all of them, Hasman?
I haven't seen all the ones for the new season, but the one I really liked, which I think is relevant to what we're going through right now, is the first episode of season 3, I think, where that girl, where basically they show us society where everything you do is judged by other people.
Or like
So,
a Yelp,
yeah,
right?
it's like a Yelp review or a social media comment or like for everything. so every interaction we have, I rate it, and then he rates it, and we're just rating each other for every interaction that we have. And then but then what happens, what they do in the show is that has real life implications.
Yeah.
Like
Jobs
if you
and
get
stuff.
if you go rent a car, if you go
Yeah,
get
I think
like
we
a
talked
loan.
about it in a prior podcast, but yeah, that concept alone is kind of mind-boggling. And didn't we say some countries starting that?
China was, I think, the one that we were talking about. I don't know what happened though.
Where they were trying to propose to actually make everyone has like a level or something.
Like
a
you
rank,
have a rank in
society,
yeah, and then
from
that's how you-
social media.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have so many bad implications in terms of like bullying people.
Well,
Did you hear about that that one of the porn star that just
killed herself?
Yeah, I was watching.
Yeah.
What's that one show? Where the guy says, "Hey, you beautiful bastards." I started watching that channel, the YouTube channel.
Philip DeFranco.
Oh,
Yeah,
Philip
Philip
DeFranco.
DeFranco,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was like, I know I've heard it before.
Yeah, because it was. I think it was last week that it happened, and it was that story is freaking insane.
That girl was beautiful,
Yeah,
and she just killed herself.
yeah, because people thought, yeah, they were just bullying. The social justice warriors came out, and then she just said her last tweet.
It's like you can't have an opinion that's controversial on anything.
Yeah, so the last thing that she tweeted out was like, "Fuck you all" or something like that, and then she hung
That's her
herself.
last tweet.
Yeah, she said, "Fuck you all."
How old was she?
20.
Mid-20s, I want to say.
Damn.
But yeah, she it was something having to do where she lost a role in whatever movie that was being filmed.
I think she didn't want to do a role. Like it was something about
Yeah, because
her not wanting to do with a gay guy or something. I think.
Yeah, that's what it was. So she turned that down. Then they fired her completely from that whole movie, and she was pissed off about it. Then people start calling her a homophobe because she did not want to have sex with a gay guy. But they were saying, girl on girl is also gay. But her thing was that she supports the gay community and all that, but she just doesn't prefer having sex with gay men. And her reason was that, whatever in that community that they talk about, she was saying that you're more likely to catch something having sex with a gay guy because they mess around too much. That's what she said, I think.
Is that like a crazy racist thought or not racist?
No, you're just trying to be safe.
Everyone this is the problem with stereotypes. Some of them have truth to it. I'm not saying that one is true.
Yeah.
But what if she has some inside information? She's not being I don't know, racist is not the right word.
I mean, she could have like a couple of friends that tried it and they caught something.
Yeah, maybe she just knows so many people from that community that she's convinced, and that's her way of staying safe.
Right. Yeah, her whole thing was that she supports the gay community, but she doesn't prefer having sex with a gay man.
Yeah, but see, that doesn't matter, right? To the people that are going after her, it's identity politics. We're part of this group. We're gonna, she did this. There's nothing else to do. You have to be triggered.
Yeah,
that's just
what's
what
crazy is like, she's just living a normal life from what I know, right? I mean, maybe she wasn't. That's why
she's not normal if she's a porn star.
True. Yeah, it's not normal. But I was thinking in a day, like she's just probably hanging out. And it's one of these days where you're just talking and then you just tweet out one thing and then people just attack you to a level where your brain is no longer stable enough and it says, all right, it's time to go,
Well, humans are always validating themselves. Like, okay, so the four of us are in a room, right? We validate our self-worth in some ways based on how everybody else rates us.
Yeah.
That's how we, how your family thinks of you and stuff like that, how your friends think of you.
Yeah.
The aggregate of all that is what not exactly what you think of yourself, but definitely plays a factor in how you think of yourself.
Yeah.
So there's a million people online telling you that you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I get mad, but I don't get a like.
Someone like that dude.
Yeah, some people can handle it, some can. Because there was this, do you remember the game designer of Fez? So people thought he was like this big asshole because he made fun of Japanese games and he did a bunch of crazy shit like that. And he got like crazy hate and he would just come back every day and be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
So there's two different ways to take it. Some people can, some just can't.
But he's mentally strong, but who knows how that does affect you.
Right.
Does it let it get, I mean, he might be showing the world like, fuck you, but when he goes back home, I mean, just not being liked is a shitty feeling, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, but have you seen his interviews? He really
Yeah.
is a kind of guy that
He's
you could say he's just putting it on, but
yeah,
you can clearly tell, like, yeah, this guy doesn't give a shit.
no fucks given.
So he has some different thing in his mind, in his DNA, which turns that, it filters that out. It doesn't affect him.
Right.
Whereas that girl is just like, it just takes over her mind.
Yeah, enough to just say like this. I can't deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, man, just that
Yeah,
thought
where
alone.
that is the
Like-
only option. It's nuts.
Yeah, I'm trying to think at how much of messages would I need for me to think that,
Yeah.
and just
Well-
thinking about it, I'm like, whoa.
Well, it takes a lot of confidence in the first place to like do something crazy, like be a porn star. It takes a certain amount of rebellious thought and like really saying fuck you to what people think.
Right.
So she was already at that point where she didn't really care what people thought, or she wouldn't be a porn star.
Right.
You know what I'm
Still,
saying?
she did what she
but
did.
still, at one point, she was like, fuck. Or, but, you know, I don't, even though that incident might have been the tipping point, it doesn't mean that that was the only thing that was bugging her.
Yeah, it could be something that was already bothering her, and this was just
Yeah.
the confirmation that just, damn, man, it's fucked
Yeah.
up.
I still like someone that's you know, I've gone through down periods too, and I would say I've been in borderline depressed states before, where I feel like it's just a cloud of negative energy that hangs over you. But I've never been at that level where I've had any thoughts of.
Yeah,
I don't know what it means to go there. Like,
it's a dark place. I can only imagine.
What's the comedian that we all love, Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. Yeah.
Remember his line on that is hilarious about depression. He's like, man, I get depressed all the time, and there's sometimes when I'm just on the couch or something, and my wife would be like, can you throw out the garbage? And he's like, fuck, I just want to kill myself. And then he's like, killing yourself solves everything. You know? You don't want to wake up early, go to work, just kill yourself. You never have to go again.
And then he has like something else to do, and that his wife asked him to do. He's like, I can do that, but if I don't want to do it, I can always just kill myself.
Yeah. It's like, I just imagine him, right, walking around through life, and at every moment there's a decision. It's either I'm going to do this or I'm going to kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just going through that thought process every point.
I wonder if that comes from a really dark place, though.
I'm
It's
sure
funny
it
as hell, but
Well, they say a lot of comedians, I've heard, do struggle with depression, and that being a comedian really just kind of allows you to just be this other guy where you're completely loved and you're making people laugh, and it just brings out that comedy.
right.
You know, so yeah, it could be.
Except Joe Rogan, he's always happy.
Yeah, he seems
He's
happy
like one of
enough.
the few comedians
yeah.
that's normal, but he's also not the best for that reason, maybe.
It's not that great a comedian, is he?
Yeah, I think he's pretty average.
Yeah.
I mean, he makes really cool points, and I like that. But I just
Yeah.
rather would listen to him podcasts and talk.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you know, I'm a Joe Rogan fan, so I'll listen to his stand-up
Yeah,
comedy a little
exactly.
bit. But I've never seeked it out. Though I think we went to a live event in Chicago.
Yeah, I think we went earlier this year. I think we went.
Yeah.
But yeah, like even then, I thought he was okay. But if
Yeah.
you see Bill Burr,
Oh,
you're like,
wow.
holy shit, that
Right.
guy is just funny at every word.
Yeah, it's his style of delivery too. He can say anything and it's funny. Cuz he's always so pissed off. And it's something about watching somebody on stage always pissed off, which at least and it seems like a lot of people find hilarious. There's always something to complain about. There's always something that's not right with life. And even if there is something right, there's always something that's so bad that it offsets that. And seeing a guy, just rant about that, it's
Well, the
it's
thing
funny.
is that most stand-up comedians point out shit that's like new to you. It's like novel.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, I never thought of this way before.
Yeah.
Like he was talking about how Arnold Schwarzenegger cheated on his wife.
Right.
And he's like, you fucking assholes. How dare you judge him? You know how much pussy that guy gets? He's like, he saw a maid in a hotel. He's like, that's like a layup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting like millions of chances, if you do it once or twice, that's actually really good.
Yeah, I mean,
We should be applauding him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can't. Basically, the thing is, like, comedians point out the shit
Yeah.
that we all just never
Yeah.
thought of, or we
Yeah.
never really entertained it.
And the thing is, because it's comedy, you can say a lot of crazy shit, like things that aren't acceptable, but because it's comedy, it's okay.
Yeah,
You know?
for some reason, and that's what I get worried about, that they're gonna basically clamp down on comedy too. Like, there's gonna be some incident that happens, and they'll be like, we gotta get these stand-up comedians to be quiet. But the cool thing about comedy, it's been like the one art form that you can almost say anything.
Exactly. You don't have to be politically correct there anymore.
Dude, you can talk
Which
about
is
the
why
most
it's so
fucked up
refreshing.
shit, like
Yeah,
even
yeah.
baby's dying or something, and
Yeah.
you know, you could do it. It's just conversation. It's just talk.
Have you guys watched Roast Masters on YouTube?
Yeah.
It's not that popular of a channel. It's got like 20,000 views on their videos, but my
I
God.
thought you were talking about Comedy Central's.
Yeah,
roast.
they have
Yeah,
it, but it's an
yeah.
offshoot of that. The
Oh, okay,
Stand.
okay.
Have you seen it? But basically, they absolutely destroy. There's one person whose brother died, father, mother, all died, and then one of them hung himself. One guy roasted him. And he said, "What's the longer stretch, your comedy career or your brother's neck when he hung himself?"
Holy shit!
And his brother just died recently.
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's called
There's-
roasting, and it's
yeah.
just there's no filters, there's no boundaries.
Oh, man.
The more you hurt him, the funnier it is.
So the guy is there, the guy whose brother died.
Yeah,
And he agreed-
that's the person being roasted, standing right across him.
Okay, then I guess he deserves it because if his brother just died and he agreed to be on a roast show,
Maybe to get his mind off.
off. So then, because then it's a slippery slope. If you like, I agree that there should be a line there. Like that shouldn't be allowed
Sorry.
because that's crazy, right? His brother just died and you're roasting him on that as a joke. That's ridiculous. We all agree there should be a line there, but then who decides where the line is? There might be somebody else who's like, no, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, maybe the guy that got roasted didn't think someone will go that far. you know?
well, I don't know if you guys know who Ralphie May is. He's
Yep.
like that. He's that fat comedian who died. I actually saw him live in school, and I remember the thing that stuck. He was like this big ass guy, and he would
Yeah.
even say the N word during his roast too.
Mm-hmm.
So he was pretty controversial, and it was a college campus.
Is he the one that's like 45ish and he died? Or
Yeah, and
something?
he was super fat.
Yeah.
So I still remember at the time that I saw him, the one thing that stuck out about him is he was this fat, obese guy, and he had like a pretty good-looking wife, and she was skinny. So
Interesting.
this show that you're talking about, the roast battle, his wife just divorced him, and he was doing a roast battle
Oh
against
my
somebody
God.
else. Dude, the joke, I don't know this the whole thing, but like somebody roasted him about what was happening in his life, like something about your wife left you and you're fat or something. It was like something that cut super deep, like super personal. This guy's a professional comedian. When the guy said the joke, he stopped. Like it just really cut to the core.
Oh, wow.
And this guy's already a crazy comedian himself. Like I'll play it for you guys after the podcast. He just like freezes.
There's like a video of this where he just stopped.
Yeah. Well, like it just cuts so deep.
He dies.
Well, he died like 5-6 months later. That's a crazy part.
That's
he
what
was
did it.
He was going through a depression already.
Right.
He's on that show, and then he died 5-6 months after.
Yeah, if you're going through depression, don't be on a roast.
No, seriously. I mean, he lost his wife. I think he lost his house.
Was this on a YouTube channel? The
No,
same
it's
thing
on-
that you're talking about?
It's on Comedy Central. It was on Comedy Central. I think Joe Rogan was one of the guests. I'm gonna see if I can get it up.
Yes, Comedy Central presents Roast Battle.
Yeah, roast battle. Yeah.
I was gonna say it was
just
um,
crazy.
You know,
So
one
after he
thing-
froze, like that, nothing happened. Like
I
they
mean,
cut
he,
to commercial.
he had to get his joke in too, dude. But it was like one of those jokes where like his joke didn't the audience was so like taken aback
Right.
by that first joke that his second jokes didn't land. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
he got knocked out basically on
Yeah, he
stage.
really got knocked out with a joke.
Just
Man.
real quick, I've been watching some crazy stuff on YouTube. Like, they have their own like UFC. They have their own like. So Comedy Central has a roast battle. One bar comedy stand decided, why don't we do like a roast battle instead of someone coming up and doing stand up? You have like amateur comedians going against each other's, and then they have like a final, and then they have a champion roast battler. You know, things like that. So they did that. Now you have that as a YouTube channel on YouTube. Yeah,
That's a good place for a YouTube channel to be.
so there's just random channels. And then I saw the other day, there's like different fighting organizations, like literally someone's backyard, and there's people boxing. It's like, yeah, we got Swaggy E in the red corner, and here comes Jimmy Johns. He's quick. You better
Jimmy
watch your hands. And then they're like,
Freaky
go.
fast.
Yep. So fast, you'll freak. All right, go round one. Let's make this clean, professional. Come on, touch hands. We're professionals out here. And it was like someone's backyard. It's just so funny.
YouTube's
man.
at an interesting state right now.
Wow.
They
with
need to
all the
freaking.
all the shit that's going on.
That's all the TV I watch. YouTube.
Yeah. So
And
what,
IP.
so what's happening is there's this thing called some sort of gate. Damn it. You know what I'm talking about, Hassan?
Wait, what? Say it again.
There's two gates. The Elsa gate, and then there's
The also get. I was actually reading about it again today.
yeah, then there's like the one where I forgot what it's called, but I'll start with Elsa again. Maybe the memory will come back, but because I noticed this with my daughter too. Like like so they have a YouTube app.
Oh my God.
The YouTube Kids, and then you have a whole bunch of, because when I first downloaded that video, I thought that YouTube went out of the way and found out all the appropriate material for kids, and they created a playlist, right? But it's not that. It's still anyone can upload anything. Anyone can upload anything to YouTube, and they have to select that the drop down that it's for kids. And so what they started doing when that movie Frozen came out with Elsa, and that song Let It Go, Let It Go was an insane hit where they had like 1 billion views, I'm assuming. So what people started doing is they started taking advantage of the algorithm where they would do Elsa versus Spider-Man, Elsa versus some other superhero. There's like, then they show like some weird videos where Elsa gets kidnapped, gets choked, gets killed at the end.
Yeah.
So like
Gets a beer bottle thrown at her or something.
Yeah, just
And this is on
fucked up
YouTube
shit.
Kid, right?
Yeah.
Unlike so there's like another app called YouTube Kids that only kids should go on. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's only, the idea is, so it's YouTube's created a thing where it only recommends safe things to them. So I thought this playlist was done by YouTube, but it's still not. It's still just linked to the normal YouTube, but whatever's descriptive word matched to kids. So like I've seen sometimes like stupid videos just come up on YouTube Kids too, and I noticed that too. But I'm like, if you're walking by, you don't think much of it is on here. It must be okay. But a lot of parents have been complaining like their kids are getting nightmares because of all the shit that they saw.
Yeah.
Because what the people are doing, they're getting these crazy algorithms. When the It movie was coming out, so they started doing It, Elsa versus a clown, and there was a whole bunch of clowns just murdering random superheroes, and there was one with like Spider-Man and some other girl having sex.
Yeah.
Like they're dry humping on a bed, and
That's
kids.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And these views have millions and millions of views, so that's insane amount of money that these people are taking advantage of. So there's two exploits that are happening. One, adults using Elsa's name or some sort of like versus, and using other superheroes' names, and in return they're getting millions of views in which they're making insane amount of money, and they're creating them weekly, right? So now they got the subscription goes up and whatnot. And the second exploit is where parents are making their kids do fucked up things so they can get views, so they can get millions of views to in return generate income. So there's people that are putting their kids, making their kids hang one another, cut their throat and blood is coming out, like
Yeah.
Inappropriate things for kids, basically.
They're just mentally, like, they shouldn't be parents at the end, So what happened is a bunch of YouTube works on advertisements. So like a bunch of companies said like, why is my ad associated with like these fucked up videos for kids? So the bunch of main companies said they suspended all their spending with YouTube. Then YouTube panicked and shut down a whole bunch of channels that they thought it was inappropriate. And it's something, there were some channels that were not, and they got shut off just for YouTube to say that we're making a stand, we're correcting this. So now the creative content of YouTube is also going to suffer because a lot of people can't create things anymore. Because that's one part of the story. The second part is where same story where a bunch of ad companies took out their money because their ads were coming on like right-wing media, like Alex Jones. Let's say your commercial is playing on his videos, and if someone sees your commercial and say, hey, your product is associated with Alex Jones, they might lose their business or sales or whatever, so they pull their ads out. So now they're making a bunch of restrictions for people, and so ultimately either they're gonna do it enough where all the creative people leave and they can't do it anymore. One, they won't have enough creative content, or two, the companies will just decide at the end of the day, and YouTube will suffer in a result. So either way, it's gonna be quite interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about it from if you look at it from a creative point of view, like whatever you make, like those people are exploiting it by putting the kids in there. But how do you from YouTube's point of view, how do you even watch over this
You can.
giant, vast ocean of like content.
They use algorithms, but then people figure out how to game
ways
them.
around it. Yeah,
And then
that's
they
tough.
game. I think it's just fucked up that people are doing that to a YouTube Kids channel.
Yeah.
Anything for money, huh? That's what it seems.
Anything
Yeah.
for money.
Yeah, and these videos, because like, well, I mean, I've done that too. Like, you know, I give, because sometimes if I'm working on something, or either, you know, cleaning the house, whatever, you know, you just give them the phone with the nap,
Yeah.
and it keeps recommending videos to you. So people that have those names, or like a character dressed as Elsa, like my kid always wants to see the cartoons characters in real life. So anytime she sees someone's wearing a costume of those characters, she wants to watch those videos because she wants to understand how real this may be, right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, adults dressing as Elsa and doing fucked up things generates views, and like an insane amount of views. Some videos will have like 19 million views, 20 million views, and they're like, you know, stupid shit that gets it just comes up on kids' playlists because of the algorithm. It's not even they're picking it, and then they watch that shit, and then another one, if they like it or if they found it funny, then they'll keep recommending the same shit.
Yeah. I watched a documentary on that where they have these companies which use view farms. So like for one of these kids videos, they might use a view farm, get like 100,000 views, and then YouTube, it goes into algorithm and it starts recommending it.
Yeah, because there's enough views.
Enough views, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of there's a bunch of view farms that I've seen that you, because I was looking, like I saw an article that mentioned that like it had like you can just give a company, I don't know, like $10, and then in return they'll generate views for you. So they have their bots.
Yeah.
They'll go on their website and they'll watch your video.
Yeah.
And because you can, and those bots can have multiple web browsers. But that's a lot of data though. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because now, like you said, it's bad parenting, but it's also easy parenting, right? You just give your kid an iPad.
Yeah.
See all the time the kid is just sitting there with the iPad and just going through whatever, and you forget about him now.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Like YouTube probably already has, or it will. If you look at like their storage, right, and you convert it, whatever the minutes are, they might have like billions of hours of footage, right? I mean, it's probably to a point where it's more footage than all the humans that have ever lived, probably.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the population is growing, so that we're uploading more. But if it hasn't, it's going to come to a point where we'll have more recorded hour history stored in a hard drive versus actual history in terms of time, you know?
Yeah.
Like
That's nuts.
It might be 12,000 hours worth of video, and that's all human history.
Yeah. I mean, isn't there a stat that we use more energy in a year, in a day or something, more than, you know, like entire human civilization did in like the past some 100 years or something crazy like that? Or
I could see that being, yeah. Because, I mean, if you look at all electricity, everything that we're using in terms of resources, like you said,
yeah,
probably a shit ton compared to what they were used.
Yeah,
the whole era of like the Egyptians, probably.
Yeah, back then. I mean, because I know it's true for information. Like a person today takes in more information than somebody did in like 50 years of their life in the past. You know, because we get so much in one day.
Yeah, shit. That's so true.
What is that? Is that music or is that?
That's music playing in the background. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds important. Sounds like some World War II news reporter or something.
I just want to apologize for my coughing earlier. Shaz made some flame fries. Couldn't stop eating them.
Yeah, I'm about to sneeze too. Yeah. I can feel it coming on. Really? I think I took in some spice into my nose.
Let it go.
Tastes
let
so
it
good.
Go. Yeah, I wanted to like stop eating, but it was so damn good. Like, like what is that part of our brain? Like, we're one. Obviously,
salt. You love salt.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us love salt, right?
Salt? Really? I thought it was the carbs that I liked right there.
Could be. Like, for me, what I love about fries is the salt. Like, when I feel that, like, if it has the right amount of salt and spice, I love it. Like,
especially when it has a big chunk.
I'm going to try it just to make sure.
Yeah, just a potato itself, imagine it. It's not, I wouldn't really be into it, like, oh, I want to keep eating it.
Yeah, but fries are amazing, though.
Man, but put some, get that crisp, get some salt on there, and it's good. You've seen that video. The salt video, right?
Yeah, the salt is not as bad for you as people thought.
Yeah, in fact, it's really good. In fact, we don't eat enough salt. So I used to tell my dad, stop putting soy sauce on everything. Now I'm like, go ahead, I was wrong.
Yeah, I told my parents the same thing too. I'm like, we're always trying to avoid salt.
Yeah.
They're trying to avoid.
So who funded that research?
Butter.
Salt.
Well, no. If you have too much salt right now, you can die, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't have a lot. So, according to that video, why they think that is back in the old days, they used to actually give people poison as if you just take a bunch of salt and you just eat it, right? You're gonna die. But so the body can't do it and that has to be like a large amount. But if you take that salt and you eat a lot of salt over time, you're fine. Your body can use it just fine.
So if someone wanted to see this video, do you know what it's called?
Yeah, it's by the What I Learned. It's called Salt.
Yeah, it's a
YouTube channel called What I Learned, and it's salt. And one of the so it's called Salt. Are you getting enough?
Yeah, that's one of the best channels on YouTube.
Yeah, I think it's like the best channel on YouTube.
Fantastic. The research that he did on free will is fantastic.
Oh
He
shit, I
said
haven't watched it yet.
everything that we've all been talking about in such a concise video. Like, it gets everything across. I couldn't think of, there's like nothing in there that you would still be like, that should have been in there. Like,
Yeah.
it covers everything. Fantastic.
How long are his videos generally?
15 minutes, 20 minutes. There's some 30 minutes ones. His earlier videos were really long, right? 30, 40 minutes, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Now-
he just does like a deep dive into any topic. Like, if you want to know why intermittent fasting is good,
Yeah.
if you want to know how the Wim Hof method works,
Yeah.
Is it all diet related or
it's
No.
more lifestyle because he has like other stuff too. Because he did the one on free will.
free will? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So he does like other things too. But
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to read you a headline from the New York Times in May 8, 2017, why everything we know about salt may be wrong. So salt is like one of those things that we talked about before: saturated fat, carbs. That everything we knew about it might be wrong.
Basically, everything that we knew about food and diet was wrong.
Yeah, it's
essentially.
almost like it's kind of just common knowledge now, and people are buying in. When we used to talk about it before, I felt like people didn't buy in, but finally people are coming around to it.
It's
It's
just
nice
like
being right too.
Yeah, it's just like how they talk about science, how slowly it trickles down. Only a few people that are really into the topic know it at first, but then it can't come into the mainstream, and now it's like slowly coming in. It just takes so much time.
So
Well, that's also corporate interests that we talked about earlier
Yeah.
that kind
Right.
of hindered progress.
I've been the YouTube channel that I've been watching is Clash. What is it called? Clash Course Philosophy.
Crash course, yeah.
Crash Course. I just got into that one. I really like their layout and whatnot. So the one that I watched today was about the nature of reality, and he talked about his cool. I'm gonna say a cool like a story that Pluto had made just to describe the nature of reality, and it's about like three guys. They're in a cave, right, and they're prisoners.
Pluto, you mean Plato?
Pluto.
Plato.
Sorry,
Yeah.
not the planet.
No.
Yeah. So there's three guys. They're locked in a cave, and they're like locked down with chains and stuff. So all they can see is like a glimpse of light that comes from the outside world, and they see shadows from the outside world. So anyone that passes through that cave, it reflects like an image of a cow or a person. So that's all they know. They can. So like.
You're talking about the allegory of the cave, right?
Yeah, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And then one of them escapes. He breaks the shackle somehow, and he escapes. And he goes on top of the cave, and then he gets blinded by the light because he's been in a cave his whole life. And all of a sudden, then he starts seeing the shadow that he saw of this monster, as a cow that's walking, that's eating grass, whatever. And then the people, and then his mind just blows up. Holy shit! It's more to these shadows. I mean, we're saying shadows. To them, it would have been actual living things or something.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah, for them, it would have been creatures that live in 2D, two-dimensional, and they just disappear, and they're darkness animals.
Yeah,
They're actual living things or whatever, right?
yeah.
So he comes back down the cave, and he starts telling the two guys, "You won't believe what I just saw. There's more to these shadows, right? There's actually a living thing that looks like you and I that casts a shadow." And he starts describing it, and they both look at him like he's fucking crazy,
Yeah.
and they like, no, you've lost your mind, you're insane. So they had this cool.
And they kill him, right?
I think that they didn't finish out the story, but it sounded like they were gonna kill him off.
Yeah, they kill him.
Yeah. But what's crazy is like that's just like the waking up moment, right? Like when you wake up, not from like just your normal wake up, but like being woke, if you will. You see you see society for what it is. You see the world, the good and the bad and the ugly, and then you're just kind of overwhelmed. And once you sink it in, then I think at the end of the day, like, you see more beauty in it than anything. You just want to share it with everyone.
I finally watched that DMT documentary. DMT, the spirit molecule.
Yeah.
So they talk about ayahuasca and basically oral forms of DMT.
Right.
It's the same concept. You see reality. I've never taken DMT, but apparently you see reality for what it is, or you see a new reality. How about that?
Yeah.
A different form of it, and you're like, wow, I know about this one too now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that this one even existed, and I don't even know if I can describe it.
So the guy, so it's a cool analogy, right? So he's saying we're also living in a world where the things that we're seeing, they're the shadows to us, and then there is a different layer of reality, perhaps.
Yep.
That once you get there and you look down on this, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, I think this was the first topic that we covered in my philosophy class, and everyone just got so into it.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, this also goes into one of the theories right now, the hologram theory, right? That this whole thing, this entire reality that we know, it's actually a hologram. It's actually being portrayed here from somewhere else. And that this is actually, even though it looks three-dimensional, it's actually two-dimensional.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Or the four, that we live in 4 dimensions.
Yeah.
And remember that one that we were talking about in the car, that Vsauce video, the one Ray talks about which way is down. I think it's called.
It's funny. Is like I was talking to my sister about it this morning while we were having breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you got to watch this video, because she was saying that she had this random thought about just trying to understand space. She was up for some reason at 3 a.m. She was looking at the ceiling, and she was just pondering about space and what it is. Why? Because like people, when you think about space, what she was saying, and it's a good point. You're just literally thinking about what's outside of planet Earth, but space is anything between you and I. That's also space.
Yeah, I mean, you're on space right now.
Yeah, we all are in space time. But she's like, it's weird that when you think of space, you only think about planets and like the
space is
darkness.
time.
Yeah.
Well, the cool. Go on. Sorry.
No, so I was just telling her about how cool that video is, because they do a amazing job, at least for me, to understand like the curvature of space and how that really works, and the law of attraction, where people confuse the law of attraction a lot.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause there's a lot of people that misunderstand what law of attraction is, and then they sell books like The Secret,
mm-hmm.
which I read and I thought was good, because I knew it was bullshit, but I'm like, but the idea of just being positive is good enough, because I think we can all use that, but to a degree, I guess. But yeah, the book The Secret that came out, I think in the 10 years ago, probably in 2004, 2003. Do you guys know about that book?
No,
Yeah.
what is that?
It blew up everywhere. It was like a bestseller for a while, and all it does is it tells people it's like a small book, and it's like the secret. Well, like our greatest thinkers of the past, like I don't know who they mentioned, like Newton, Gandhi, Franklin, like all these people that created some sort of invention or understood reality for what it is. What they say is that they all talked about law of attraction, where if you're in the universe, if you think enough about something, you'll get it. So if you want a house, think of a house, wake up and draw a house, look at it all day, keep thinking about it. The more you do it, you're gonna obtain it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And she just gives like stories and whatnot. They could be bullshit for what I know, but in that Vsauce video, Which Way is Down, he explains exactly what law of attraction is, and I can try explaining it, but I might not be that good. But anyway, like in a complete empty space, if there's no other object, we can just take something small as 2 pennies, and we can put them at the opposite ends. They both will, curve space-time, because their mass will affect the curvature of space. And because of that, they're going to slowly and surely pull towards one another, because since now the space is no longer flat, it's bent. That bend causes, for those 2 objects to slowly and surely connect, and,
So it works with gravity then, the law of attraction.
It's not gravity.
Well, it's like anything that has mass attracts each other, right? So
because it bends space-time. As soon as there's a bent You know,
But
it causes.
I thought we called a bend in space-time gravity. Isn't that the curvature
No,
of
that's a
space-time?
curvature.
Isn't that what it is? If you bend it, that is a
Well,
curvature.
all massive objects attract each other, right? So there's a pull from the Earth on the sun, and there's a pull on the sun from the to the Earth. So I think that's what we're talking about. But there's also me and you. It's just so small that like nothing happens relative to us.
Because you're
But
also.
everything attracts each other.
But there's also other gravity that's affecting you guys, so you guys don't end up, you know.
But everything
colliding.
with mass basically
Yeah.
has a force on each other. I think
Yeah.
that's the best way to
Your
like, explain it.
gravity to the ground would be stronger than the gravity Z's pulling towards you. You know, so
Yeah,
the,
the Earth is pulling
more,
me
yeah,
with more
exactly.
gravity than Z could.
Yeah,
I thought he said like Earth and we're pulling it the same. Like we're pulling on Earth as well, right? Our gravity's pulling on
yeah,
Earth,
it's equal.
but the Earth's mass is But in a video, they do a simulation where they collide, like a person and an Earth, and what he's trying to show is that both of them are pulling towards one another. Your body's pulling Earth, and Earth's pulling you. But since Earth's so massive, it looks like Earth is just pulling you in. You know?
Yeah, you're also pulling the Earth to
Yeah. So when you
but a very
stand,
small amount though.
so when you stand, your gravity's pulling Earth towards you, and then Earth. So that's why you stay on the ground. You know?
Everything with mass has a gravitational pull.
Yeah.
All matter. I don't know if a photon does. I think a photon does too.
Yeah.
But it has some gravitational pull.
If the Earth had more gravity than you were exerting back onto the Earth, your legs would just snap in half, and you would just get pulled right into it.
Or I thought I would leave into outer space. Like, isn't that what escape velocity is in a way?
That's if you had more.
Yeah, so escape velocity
Somehow
would, if you
through
accelerated to a speed that
enough to
would basically get away
offset
from
the
yeah,
Earth's gravity.
Yeah, offset the Earth's gravity.
But we kind of butchered the idea, I guess. But like that video, highly recommend. Vsauce called "Which Way
I
Is
think
Down."
we're right about that though.
Yeah, but we might be to a degree. But I mean, if we didn't do a good job
I watched
explaining
Rick and Morty. Okay, pretty sure I understand
But
physics.
but if we didn't explain it that well, then still like the visuals that he showed in that video were good
Yeah,
to
I really recommend.
connect some dots.
And
that,
it's a little boring at first, and you're like, okay, it's a long
The-
build up, but the end is worth it.
And is worth that journey. Yeah, because even that I didn't. It was just I remember, I'm still thinking of that graph that he showed with time. It just still boggles my mind. Where the lower you are, it just stops. You know.
Well, the
Like
part I
the-
like is at the end he goes, well, you're only moving. So there's two things, right? Space and time.
Right.
But we don't really move that fast.
Yeah.
Us. So we only really move in one direction. That's time.
Yeah.
And then the way he explains that concept is pretty cool.
Yeah. The ending's definitely awesome. I was gonna say something, but I forgot.
Escape velocity.
What about
Okay,
it?
let me find out what it is.
No, I was gonna talk about some personal experience that I experienced.
Do you have personal experiences that you didn't experience?
That I experienced
Yeah.
just recently that I wanted to share because
There's many Ullies.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what escape velocity is exactly?
Sure.
From the surface of the Earth, escape velocity, ignoring air friction, is about 7 miles per second, or 25,000 miles per hour.
Shit.
All
Go ahead, Ali.
right.
It's your chance.
It's my chance. Bring it home.
Bring it home.
But I've never experienced this. I mean, I knew a friend. I think we talked about a while ago in our prior episodes, but like this is a more recent memory. But when I was working in high school, I it was one person I knew that passed away and they suicided. And I mean, I was not that close with them, but I knew them enough where we hung out outside of work. But now just recently at work, one of our coworkers that I'm pretty cool with. I mean, we're not insanely best friends or anything like that, but we're just cool. I just found out that he has like stage 4 cancer and he's on his way out. Like the doctor gave him 5 years because at work I haven't seen him for a while, so I thought he got fired or something. But I just found out that he got cancer, and when I found out on the way home, like time just stopped. Like I'm not even that close to this person, but like for me, I felt like time just stopped, and it was just like really sad, like And as I was walking, I got off the bus and I was walking home towards the alley, and everything just stopped. Things stopped moving in a sense for me. Like I just felt like life just came to a still. This person I'm not even that close to. I'm just so sad that he's not gonna live. And then as I started walking, I was just like man, he was in my shoe, like he's like 15 years older than me, so like he was in my shoe one day coming home to his family, just gonna do his normal routine, but 15 years later he's on his way out. So the perception of like death is just kind of interesting, because like to set the story a little bit backstory to this, the day before that I heard the Sam Harris podcast, Lessons of Death. So that kind of like going from that
amplified it
in a really good positive way, I would say in a really powerful way. It's one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had, more on other trips that we've had. Like this, so like the episode with Sam Harris, he has what is he, like a Buddhist?
I thought he was like a former doctor that created his, like he was I'll find out, but
he has that hopsis, what is it called? But anyway, he brings on this guy that helps people die. So he has this facility where that people that are suffering through cancers or some sort of disease that they're in just so much pain, he brings them into his facility, and then he helps them understand like life and death, and he helps them.
Yeah, he's a Buddhist teacher, international lecturer, and a leading voice in the end of life care. He co-founded the Zen Hospice Project, the first Buddhist hospice in America. And I don't know if you guys know what hospice is, but it's just end of life care. It's like a place you go to die.
Yeah,
where people take care of you till you die.
Yeah, so he does it in a way where he helps people accept their fate, and and then he gave these cool stories and whatnot that kind of resonated with me pretty well. And it's all about like life is short, make each moment count. And he's really and he made a really good point. Like if you right now we ignore death, right? We don't think about death on a day-to-day basis, because we all think in our minds we're gonna live forever, in some shape or form. But time is ticking. Time is our enemy, and so we hold off things. So like if we his whole philosophy is if you bring death to your life and you embrace it rather than be scared from it, then you're going to have a more fulfilled, meaningful life, because each moment of your life is your last. And he gave us this example where this guy that he knew went in a calendar. He picked from the day that he decided, he did a year out and said, this is the day I'm going to die. So he started living his life that he was going to die within a year. Yeah. But he lived on to live for 20 more years. But I'm just thinking, like, this coworker of mine, is he going to come back to work? What do you do if the doctor tells you have less than 5 years to live? Do you give up everything? Do you you would do things that you want to do, like an alley that you're walking by, a store that you always, a book that you always wanted to read. You're gonna go to a store and pick up that book now.
So it's almost like you would live if you would have had 20 years, but all those experiences in 5.
Yeah. So I kept thinking about that. Now I'm in my stage. 15 years from now, who knows? Maybe I might get the news that he got. Mm-hmm. And right now, what the problem with death is that once we get to the stage, if you don't die a random death, if you die a death in the hospital like he is, where he's been told he has 5 years, some people might have 10 or 3 or 2, whatever the case may be, then you live life differently, where every second is so precious. Right now, we also are going to die. We're just postponing that thought, right? But once you turn that thought on, then you're going to start making every second of your life count. And then, like for me, so when I went home, I was looking at I was in my kitchen getting water, and I just hear the clock go tick, tick, tick. Then I turned around and I looked at it. I think I stared at it for at least 10 minutes. I had this big smile on my face. I was sad. I was angry. I was frustrated. Like, this is it, this tick, it's ticking till my end. That's the only thing it's ticking for, and I'll be gone. Yeah. So I was in a moment of awe where I was like, this thing makes me, it's also going to take me away. It's going to take everything that I care and love for. This ticking sound, tick, tick,
the ticking
tick,
clock time.
So like, I don't know, that experience was so powerful, man. I can't even put into words. Like, I was like so angry, so sad, so frustrated. Yeah. But at the end, I came out really happy,
Now, imagine if you can bring that. I wonder how you can bring that experience to others.
Yeah.
We talked about this before, that it's really hard to make somebody believe something with just cold hard facts. It's easier to do it with feeling, with emotions.
Right.
So like you said, that was a more profound experience for you than anything before that.
Right.
So, and it was all based on emotions and feeling.
Yeah.
And so how can we do that more in conversation with other people, especially with people on the other side that we want us to agree with, rather than just throwing facts at them? Because that doesn't seem to be the most efficient way. Like, you need facts, but to really convince someone, you do need to feel them. That didn't come out right, but you know
Harvey
what I mean.
Weinstein them a bit.
No, not that way.
Yeah, feel them in a sense where you understand their ideology and their background. Just find a common ground, I guess, would be the key. Once you find a common ground, the common ground, I think, is all, we all want to survive. Then it goes. It's not black and white.
Yeah.
But everyone should also. I'm sorry, before I forget, to refer to that podcast to listen to it. It's only an hour long.
Sam Harris.
Yeah, it's called Lessons of Death.
Nice.
And then, just hear all these cool analogies that this guy gives. And then, to your point, like, once we understand this, if you feel like you need to share this feeling with the world, how do you do that? It's got to be through art, right? So, I mean, because if facts are not going to work, then it has to be some sort of art form where you can slowly take them on a journey. So instead of showing them the end fact, you just have to take them to a journey where you can kind of start the journey out by showing their side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And seeing how that thing is flawed and might collapse, and you build up to a point where you show them both sides, one side, and then, leave them probably answering the question at the end, but in a way where hopefully where they don't go back to their own.
Yeah, maybe we should have like a empathy 101 in school.
Yeah.
Along with science and all these
Real
other classes.
quick, the Bulls beat the Celtics today by 23 points.
Fluke, man. Bulls are the worst.
Pretty random.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I forgot how good Celtics are because I started watching.
Celtics are fun to watch.
Yeah, they're really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Another thing I was gonna say was like, so when after that clock thing, then I went and I saw this never happened before, right? So I usually don't, like, I rarely cry. Like, things don't make me cry.
So you had existential crisis. That's what it's called.
I guess. But I was seeing my daughter and I was just looking at her.
I guess.
I was just looking at my daughter and I was looking at my nieces and nephews that were hanging out. And I'm like, man, the innocence of our consciousness, from birth. It was just so beautiful to just see that, so I started seeing my life that way, that this is the last time I'm going to see her. So, like, the way I saw her, dude, I haven't seen her like that besides that one time I shared that story too. But now I'm doing it more and more. And I could see how, bringing death into your life, could be more beneficial than anything. Because things that would make you angry, you're like, what the fuck am I going to be mad about this, So I think everyone should give it a go and try and see.
Because then you start kind of living each moment as the best you can make that moment in your current capabilities, like,
right.
How someone who's in the cell on death row, they give them that respect. What will be your last meal? And it'll be your favorite thing. So if you live with death hand in hand and you're just like, each of these moments are my best moment or my last moments. So how would I make this podcast the best? How would I enjoy your guys' company the best? How would I appreciate every moment, enjoy every moment to its fullest? And you live that throughout and really betters your life.
Like each interaction with a human being is like your last, right? So like someone could be pissed off and you can react to it and be pissed off too, or you can just look at them and be like, if this is my last moment, why the fuck would I want to waste it on this?
Yeah.
Just, wave goodbye and walk away. Oh.
Yeah, a culture that really had death in their society were the ancient Egypts. They literally, their entire
Ancient
structure
Egyptians?
was built around death. And they even had, like, death was like a everyday thing. It was like everywhere. And they even had this whole idea. They did have an idea of an afterlife, right? So they carved out books and books of what you do when you die, because apparently you have this moment, almost like a DMT sort of moment,
right,
where you can actually go and maneuver through some space and you can continue to live on.
Right.
But if you die, you go into non-existence. So their version of heaven and hell was a little bit different. They thought hell was non-existence and heaven was the ability to continue on with your life.
Right.
Into the next stage.
That's crazy.
And then, of course, other religions took that concept and created heaven and hell
Oh, right.
and brought fire into the whole mix.
Yeah. I mean, death's such a weird concept, right? Because even thinking about it, because another good point that he made is like death has been kind of hijacked by the church, the priests, the mosque,
Yeah.
and in a sense, government. It's not a conversation where everyday people like us can talk about. Because like, why the fuck are you talking about death? You know?
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with you? But like,
Yeah, you would be considered weird amongst your friends if you try to talk about that.
It is
why
morbid.
why are you being morbid? Why are you being depressing?
Yeah,
and he wants to change that conversation and by his philosophies and the analogies that he gives. And then once you're done listening to that podcast, I think you will conclude the same thing. That kind of makes sense.
I don't think it's really right in like a social environment to be like, "Hey, man, this podcast may be my last. I might die tomorrow."
No, not like
it's not
that,
fair
dude.
to your
That's
peers.
No, but I think
No.
even amongst your peers, when you're just hanging out with them, like if you get, if you went out for a drink or you got some hookah or something,
Hey, man, this could be it.
you don't talk like that.
Yeah, it's
wouldn't
not
be
fair
that.
on them because it's
I
depressing
think
for
it's
them.
more about the concept of it, that you have it in the
In your
back of your
head.
mind.
Yeah, that
Everyone does. So then you treat every moment differently.
Yeah, so
every
like
conversation.
So you tell people that I love you, and you don't hold that off. You know, like I'll tell my mom I love her, but I'll wait till on her birthday because that's the only time I say it, right?
Yeah.
So why if I go away or she goes away, then I lost that opportunity. So stuff like that, like like after we leave right now, we might take a picture because this might be our last. Like or we might
Yeah.
shake hands, say goodbyes like they're your last. You never know. Not like telling people, hey, it's my last.
Okay.
It's just in the back of your mind. You just treat every moment like it's your last.
Yeah, it's almost like instead of living in the future, you start living more in the present.
You're right.
You make a priority list, maybe.
Yeah, each second is your lifetime.
Yeah.
And
So it's like, we'll meet up on Monday. You don't make plans now. It's like, hey, man.
No, bro, I'm coming right now. Open the door. I'm here.
Sorry, bro.
Well,
I only have
that's
tonight.
why I kind of enjoy spontaneity. Like I feel like some people are too rigid with their schedules.
Yeah.
I wasn't calling you out, Chaz, by the way. Thought about that.
Now he is.
But now I did it. Now I said it, so I did. Anyways, my whole point is like, people are so structured for the future, but you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So sometimes that whole thing might be a joke. Everything you do today is like the only thing that really matters. You don't really know what matters tomorrow.
So the guy it happened to last time when the marathon happened, the big one, he did it. So he runs every morning, healthy, in shape, and still,
Yeah. Yeah.
Life
Cancer
can-
doesn't discriminate.
Yeah, it can get you.
Yeah.
And it's just sad.
Yeah. Cancer is a very scary thing. I think out of all the diseases, it's like you could be the healthiest person. You could just get it.
Yeah.
Just so.
Because because you would have to go to chemo. Chemo is such a rough process, and one is insanely expensive, and two, it's just mentally draining. Not only the person but the family that has to go. It's like everyone. It's like everyone goes through it. It's not an easy task for just one person. It's the whole family that kind of suffers. But they all have to be strong and fight their way through it.
Yeah.
And people that don't have insurance can't afford it, so they die faster.
Yeah.
So I don't know his full situation, but like let's just say hypothetically, like if you find out that you have less than 5 years, chemo might give you another year, but chemo will take 2 years out of your life being hospitalized or whatever the long how long the recovery process is, a year or two, whatever. So would you go through chemo to be hospitalized and you can't do a lot for a year or two just to get another year, or do you lose that year and just be in the shape that you're in now?
I think I would. I mean, I would probably have to do more research, but just going by what you just said, I would say that I would not do the chemo.
Because I think that's the thought that he might be doing, which is...
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather be at, maybe 65% of what I can do in that life rather than struggle through being at 30%
Yeah,
for
man.
longer, kind of thing.
You gotta be grateful. I mean, just think about what you just said a second ago. That there's someone. I mean, there's plenty of people, but this friend of yours is out there making that decision
for
now.
himself.
Do I lose a year for a little bit better quality of a life, man?
Wait,
Yeah.
so
As
he
it
did
comes to an end.
decide to not do chemo?
I think he went to Mexico and got some sort of like juicing thing. I was gonna tell him to do ayahuasca before you if anything, experience that experience on your way out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Might tell you about where you can go. You might meet the Egyptian gods and find a way forward.
yeah.
Continue on.
What's that saying that
buried with all your jewels.
what's that
You have to do that.
the news reporter that used to be on CNN and she was on Joe Rogan?
The white lady.
Because she came in my mind because she said something like, I think in that podcast where she's like, when someone tells you of ayahuasca and you look it up, you'll just know if it's for you. Like that plant has a calling. Like
Her name was Amber Lion.
Amber Line, there we go. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like, because like I've read it. I'm like, no, it's not for me. But people will just know, and the ones that know just act.
Right. They just go.
Yeah. So I mean, if I was in his shoes,
It's
I would
almost-
want to try ayahuasca.
Yeah. It's almost like I would think it would be a point where you want to do a complete 360 turn on the events
Yeah.
or on just life in general.
Yeah, because I mean, that experience from what everyone says is worth experiencing. You know,
Yeah.
there is a painful journey to it with all that vomiting and diarrhea.
You know, the more I even think about that's definitely have a good psychedelic experience, but I'm just thinking about it in relative terms, man. I mean, if we even live 70, 80 years, we're all in our 20s, 30s and whatnot. I mean, that's like 40, 50 more years, man. I mean, what's 5? Yeah, that's a lot less, but still, man. Like you said, the clock is ticking. I mean, every moment could be our last. You're not promised those 40, 50 years, man.
Yeah, we think we have 40 years to retire.
We're pretty sure that we're going to be the ones that make it, but
just the idea that it will end. It's inevitable that it will end. That idea itself, man, it really, you don't think about it because you're so busy about today, you're so busy about tomorrow, your plans on the weekend, that you don't think, that just a step ahead, man. That's it.
It's almost like there was a biological reason why you don't think about that, because it allows you to function it allows you to function every day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree that bringing a certain amount of death into every day, I could probably see the benefit, but like on a...
Have you heard the podcast yet or no?
I haven't.
Sam Harris has something really cool where you're actually wrong, I think.
Okay.
Because he says, we don't think about death like the way you're saying it, but we do think about death. Because as I'm talking to you, he's like, just look at what you're doing right now. And as he was saying, that was opening a water and drinking. Why are you drinking water? Because you're trying to avoid death. You're thinking about death. When you're crossing the street and you see it's a red light, you're stopping because you don't want to die.
Yeah.
You are thinking about death, but you've kind of programmed your way to say, "Oh, this is not death. This is something I just do."
Yeah.
But
that's what I mean. So we're not actually thinking death, but we're just doing things. And the brain has already set it up in such a way where we're like, all right, we need water now, we need this, we need to do
doing
this.
it without thinking
or
of it,
at
in a
least
sense, right?
without us being aware of it.
There we go. That's a good way of putting it.
This is why my brain is doing it. My brain just knows what it needs to do to avoid death, but it's not telling me that, hey, I'm avoiding death right now.
So what they're trying to emphasize is become aware of those moments.
Yeah.
And then that's how you welcome death into your life, right?
Yeah.
So now that you're eating whatever, now you're gonna be more mindful of what you stuff down your throat.
Yeah. It's almost like every time I hear people that are really deep into meditation, like Sam Harris, of course, is,
right?
He always talks about things, about being mindful, about going beyond what your brain is interpreting in that moment. Whatever you're doing, whatever pain you feel, like go beyond that. Like he talks about stress this way.
Yeah.
Like if you feel stressed, sit down and really feel that stress. Is it really there? Or is your brain just making it up and being like, it's time to be stressed?
Isn't that beautiful?
It is. So, it's...
like just someone to tell you that, like light bulb just goes off in my head. Like, wow,
right.
wow.
But here's the crazy thing. Like if, I don't know about you, but I feel like if I heard this 10 years ago, it would just sound like mumbo jumbo. Like, oh, feel the stress. Like, what the hell are you talking about? That makes no sense. Whatever.
I'll turn it off. Comes with age then, or?
Comes with age. It comes with,
wisdom?
Obvious various experiences that we've had. And just, I don't know how it comes. I don't think it comes to everyone.
It doesn't. Sadly, I mean, sadly, like, there's. We talk to a lot of people. Go ahead.
This is from what I learned. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom.
Damn.
Yeah.
Really like that.
Yeah.
And then I think the Sam Harris thing you're talking about, he goes on about like I don't know if it's Sam Harris or somebody that was a guest, but he goes about like, all right, like how you go work out and then you feel sore, but you're okay with it because you know that soreness is your muscles growing.
Yeah.
But if you had that same soreness and you thought you had cancer, you'd be freaking out.
Yes.
So the same feelings,
Yeah.
but one is freaking you out and one is making you happy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the
Exactly.
The
So
mindfulness
interpret that feeling,
yeah.
that space that you're in, where you can choose what this can mean for you.
That
Yeah.
quote was amazing, though. Being in that space where
Yeah,
you're
I've
deciding.
heard this quote
Yeah.
a couple times. Between stimulus and response. For example, that feeling when you get when you're hungry,
Yeah.
and then your action to it.
To
Between
eat.
those moments, that's where you're free. That's where you can really make a choice.
Yeah, I really have felt this, especially with the you're doing the whole sugar thing right now, so I'm sure you know
I'm
that.
20 days off for the first time in my life.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
And you know what that feels right? Like you get that craving for sugar, but if you sit there for just a second, take 30 seconds and feel that craving, like really observe it, it just kind of goes away.
Yeah, I've never been addicted to anything like I was to that. I would like literally come up with reasons to go to Starbucks just so I could have that chocolate almond
Yeah.
thing that they have.
Right.
And I was like, holy crap, my mind is somehow taking me to places that have sugar, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And I just really thought about it. Now I still get like a little bit of a craving, but it's not that powerful. Like it doesn't bug me. Like I'll want to eat more, but I don't need something else.
Right. And here's a good thing about it. Like, for instance, I can tell from personal experience, a few days ago, after a long time, I had a can of Coke, not the whole thing. I intended to. I took it. I'm like, I feel like drinking something sweet. I haven't had it. And I take like 2-3 sips, and it was so sweet for me. I was like, what the hell is this? How did I ever drink this? I couldn't even take any more sips.
Does your jaw hurt when it's so sweet?
It doesn't. My jaw didn't hurt, but it was just like nasty. I felt like chemicals were like just killing
Yeah.
me as they went
It's probably
inside.
a mindset thing too, though.
Yeah, and I just threw it away, and I couldn't believe how weird it felt to drink it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that whole thing is like, you know, the whole thing with the bacteria growing inside, and it sends those cravings to you. So the more, if you're just a fast food person, right, you're eating fast food all the time,
Yeah.
carbs, cakes and stuff.
Is
That's
there
the bacteria
something-
that grows, and that's the one that sends a signal to your brain that
Yeah, it's a
give me
gut.
more of this.
It's a gut bacteria. It's called the
Yeah.
gut-brain
Is there
axis.
something
Yeah.
you can take to like take it out of your stomach?
Probiotics.
No, I mean, either way, it would have to. No, I don't think probiotics would kill it. First of all, this also has.
Sugar.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much. This has.
How much can you take that?
6
like you
grams.
can have like 2-3 a day. It won't mess your stomach up.
No, this is a probiotic.
Yeah.
But
No,
again, it's
I'm
this one's
ignorant
sweet.
of it. So like, what is it like?
Probiotic is just good bacteria. So your gut bacteria is full of good and bad bacteria. So this is actually what they do is they take live bacteria and they put it in these foods, and it's called, I think it's cultured. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
So you eat these foods that have good bacteria like pickles,
Yeah.
milk,
So
kefir.
So these bacteria will fight off the bad gut.
Actually,
gut bacteria,
no,
gut
no,
bacteria.
no, they wouldn't. So you still need to get rid of the
Yes,
bad bacteria.
exactly.
So you
You
still
need to
need
starve
to
them.
eat good. You can't eat fast food and have this.
Well, you might not
And it'll
have
be
like
okay.
stomach issues. Like for example, your body, anyone that has like IBS, I don't know if you guys know what that is, irritable bowel syndrome. My dad's getting old, so he has to go to the bathroom all the time, right?
Yeah.
If he eats the wrong thing, like something too spicy or something too heavy,
Yeah.
too sweet, he would go to the bathroom. So like, anyways, if you have that good bacteria, it breaks down the foods that would cause you to do all that.
Oh, okay.
So even like they say skin problems, for example, Chris Kresser, who was on Joe Rogan too, he said most of his patients that have skin problems have gut problems.
Interesting.
So gut inflammation is like a big thing, and they're saying that it drives your mindset. It drives so much. Like basically, it's just a new field of research that's been happening for the last 10, 15 years, maybe longer.
Crazy, isn't it? It's like these little living aliens inside your stomach, just like raising
then-
their hand
and
up
check
saying,
this out.
give me.
Give me-
And you're
Yeah.
like a dumbass running. Like,
And you know, and they're connected. They have a direct connection with your brain.
And
How crazy is
and
that?
it's actually not. They say it's actually not a part of your body in a
Yeah,
way
yeah.
because it goes from your mouth, the tube, all the way to your ass.
So it's
So,
external.
yeah, it's like almost like an external thing that's in your body
So
that's
it-
controlling
God.
so
you.
it moves
That's
around.
freaky, man.
Yeah, once you think about it, you're like, holy shit, all this bacteria is actually not a
It's
part
like
of me.
this thing
It's got its own
that
agenda.
takes you as a
Yeah.
host, right?
Yeah, pretty
And,
much.
and you're a slave.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
Jesus.
But yeah,
it sounds so weird. When
It is.
That's
Yeah.
any addiction, though. You see people that are addicted to cigarettes, and it's so insane what they'll do for a cigarette. Come on, man. They'll go completely out of character. Come on, man. Just
Yeah,
drive
they'll
me
like
to...
throw it away and they'll like try to find out where it is, or they'll give it to
Yeah.
somebody and they'll say that they
Like-
want it back.
Yeah, like, come on, man. Just drive me to someone, you know, they get, like, aggressive. And it's like, dude, you never seen them like this before. They're always
Yeah.
cool. Or, you know, just during winter, you know, they'll just step out in sheer cold just so they can have that cigarette, you know? And I'm like, wow.
Man,
Well, I feel like that about these fries right now too, because these carbs actually break down into glucose. So it's almost the same thing, by the way. Because if you eat like chocolate, it breaks down to glucose. It's just a lot more of it and more concentrated. But this also breaks down into
Yeah, it's
glucose.
very similar.
Yeah.
so is that bad
So-
for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so
This-
good. Though.
Yeah, it's so good. Though. So they say that this is like this might be one of the leading causes of diabetes. That's a fact. But even like cancer and
Fries
stuff
would
like that.
be the leading.
Not fries, but carbs.
Carbs,
Especially
okay.
like
fries.
but fries are basically all carbs.
I was actually thinking about that earlier. Like, what is the current research on like cancer back in the day versus now? Because our diets are so different, right?
Well, ketosis does help cancer, and I gotta pivot to the story too. So my friend who has cancer, you know, that so ketosis is basically shown to help cancer, and there's like no doubt about it. If I'm right, at least some cancers, there's some positive effect to it. But my friend who has cancer, I'm like, dude, have you done any like research on like other options? Because all he knows is what the doctors tell him, and even most people agree that the standard of care for cancer is not that great in like America.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're gonna do chemo, they're gonna do some pills, but that's about it. Now he's trying to live his life, and he hasn't done any like he's not like us. Like, I feel like we really just dive into topics. We're watching what I learned and stuff. We're listening to like 3-hour podcasts. You know, most people don't do that. And I'm like, have you actually looked into this? And I'm like trying to explain it to him. I did it day one. I'm like, I know I sound crazy, but have you ever thought of cancer as a dietary disease, or
Right.
as a metabolic disease,
Mhm.
which means that what you eat affects it.
Right.
But most people don't see cancer like
That's
that.
weird. Yeah.
But it's proven that carbs and stuff like when I say it's proven, I should be careful. But there's good evidence to say that carbs and sugar affect cancer because
so if you cut those two out, then it
might prolong.
reduces-
Yeah, it might like
prolong it.
yeah, it might basically it's just like it's more like diabetes than we thought
Right.
because the cancer cells feed off glucose.
Damn.
But I was trying to explain it to him, and I think I got through to him. I'm like, how about this? Fuck what I'm saying. Just look into it.
Yeah. Well, as you were saying that so from the same podcast with where he's talking about how someone was dying and a doctor comes in or a nurse comes in, she's like, we should give him morphine or something. He looks like he's in a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, why? It was like, just because you're uncomfortable watching him.
Yeah, I actually heard
like,
that part.
yeah, he's like, shouldn't we should give you morphine instead? Why are you keep
Yeah.
drugging up a person that doesn't need any more drugs than he needs? So there's parts
Yeah.
of our healthcare, like to your point, where they only recommend one thing, where there are other options that you can explore.
So yeah, Dom D'Agostino says that, and also Tim Ferriss had him on the podcast.
The same guy?
Yeah. So
Oh,
Dom D'Agostino, I think that's how you say his name. He's basically like the leading ketosis researcher or one of them, and he's a PhD scientist. And he said that I lost my train of thought. But he was talking about how cancer is a metabolic disease, and that Tim Ferriss. Sorry, now I remember. He said on Tim Ferriss's podcast that some people they would fast for 2 days
Mhm.
before doing chemo.
Damn.
Because they want their body to be in a state of ketosis where it's not using glucose anymore. It's using ketones. And
Yeah.
that apparently can prolong your life. And then one time, this is kind of anecdotal, but there was a Facebook fundraiser. Some kid had stage 4 brain cancer. He was trying to raise like money for his like hospital care. And he even said that he was following this diet and it worked for him.
Damn. That's
Work
crazy.
for him as a cure or just prolonging?
Prolong
It's
it.
prolonging, but I mean,
Once you get cancer.
yeah, once you get cancer, it's just like I said, we're all dying, right? So even we're all gonna die in 50 years. So instead of 5, he might have 15 years, which
Yeah.
is still a lot.
Yeah. You just add more time to it. Have you guys watched that movie, The Big Sick?
The big.
I have.
Sick. No.
Yeah.
Where
It's
the guy from
Silicon
New
Valley.
Girl.
Silicon Valley.
He's also
That
in New Girl.
Pakistani guy.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the main character. And he's dating. It's
Oh,
gonna
I've
be-
heard of that movie. Okay.
Oh yeah, it is.
Can I do a spoiler alert, or
Go ahead.
can I tell you guys?
I
The
don't
ending?
care. I already know.
Okay, so spoiler alert. I'm gonna tell the ending. But anyway, he's dating this chick, and then they break up, whatever. And then one day she's insanely sick in the hospital. So then he comes back to her. She breaks up with him, but then she goes into a coma like stage, and they don't know what the hell's going on. It's a young girl, And while they were dating, they were doing grocery, and she kind of tripped and sprained her ankle. So they couldn't figure out what happened to her. I'm guessing it's like it has happened to people. So they couldn't figure out what's happening to her. Like, why is this young, healthy person dying? They're trying everything, trying to stabilize her, not happening. She ends up going to coma. They still can't figure it out. Then they're at a point where they're saying she might die in a few couple, she most likely is going to die. And then by him telling the doctor, she sprained her ankle in the grocery store, then they looked up one thing. It happened, and it's a real thing where by her body getting sprained or something, her protective system that thinks there's some sort of body when you get sick.
You're talking about an auto like immune disease?
Yeah, when you get sick, your body goes on defense mode and starts fighting it off. So her body thought it was under attack, and it just turned the defense to 100 gazillion% up and kept fighting. So it started killing the normal cells too. So just by, cause some people have this weird, it's weird. Like some people have this weird disease or genetically where a small sprain in their ankle, their immune system doesn't, it responds way too much to a point where it kills them. And imagine like people that don't have this technology or care, a young healthy person, you're playing basketball, all of a sudden you sprain your ankle and that kills you because your body gets confused.
And they also say that gut bacteria and stuff is related to auto like immune diseases.
Yeah, so that's why that story came in my head. I'm like, it's just these, like we were talking about how
sorry, by the way, anyone listening, this is not fact, but there's good research to say that at least it's a factor.
Yeah. But it's just interesting, like, there's these living things inside your stomach and they turn the light on your head so that the same person that sprained their ankle, there's bacteria or whatever's in there, because we have good healthy bacteria too, that the white blood cells that fight off the bacteria that kills us. But anyway, it's just weird, like, part of our thing could be defective where it turns it on to such a degree that it kills you,
Right.
It's just weird, like how people have these jobs inside of us, and then if one person gets one thing wrong or the code is wrong, then you're likely to die. Your chance of dying are so much higher because you can't find out until you break that system or,
Right.
And you just have to be in the right place at the right time, I guess.
Wrong place at the wrong time.
Or that, yeah. But it's just more and more we talk about it, just like life is short, just do your best.
Yeah.
Do good and be good, I guess, right? I guess
Sounds good. Wrapping up.
Yeah, just on that, I think that's a good note to end it on.
Beautiful note.
Beautiful note. Life is short, live to the fullest. If you guys haven't checked it out, we posted our new Facebook video where we did a poetry / hip hop type of slam type of thing. So I think we're gonna be writing a bunch of poems and whatnot for our videos. We're gonna try to do one every month and just write about topics that resonate with us. So please check it out if you haven't done so, and if you find it useful or you think it's cool, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and help support us that way. And also check out our Facebook page. We're gonna be uploading content there as well. So over there we'll probably be updating people more on the goings on of the podcast. So check that out, and then also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also leave comments, and if you have ideas or something like what we could write about, please don't mind messaging us and letting us know, and we'll do our best. Any last words? No.
All silent.
That's the cue to go. All right, guys. Thank you, and have a good night.